Hello, 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 everyone. This is Onscreen Offscreen. We've got some really exciting topics, at least for me, to talk about today. I see some of these ones that Conlon has brought up that I'm excited to see what he has to say about. Uh, without further ado, Conlon, why don't you give us your first one? Why don't we get started there?
All right, first one, Lincoln Lawyer season 3. I I love the movie. I love the first season of Lincoln Lawyer. I think the second one isn't as good as the first one. I do think there's a dip. Um Season 3 is not as good as season 1, but it's definitely an improvement over season 2. If you guys kind of dipped out with season 2, I would give it another shot. I think it's worth your time. The writing is better. I like some of the character development choices that they make, especially weirdly with the dancer girl. I think they did a great job with her. It's worth giving a shot. Did
So,
you? I
my
know you
question
watched
for
season
you,
one, right? Go ahead.
I watched the 1.5 seasons. I
Okay.
got halfway through season 2. My question for you is, how do you rate Lincoln Lawyer season 1 compared to Lincoln Lawyer the movie starring Matthew McConaughey?
I like season one better. I think season one of Lincoln Lawyer might be my favorite law show. Maybe it
That's
might be.
crazy. That's
I
insane.
like it. I like it better than Suits, which is wild. I love Suits. I really enjoyed season one of Lincoln Lawyer like a lot. I've seen it many times. Um, Suits is I'd have to really think about it to see which one of those two I like better. Some of the Suits seasons are also very good. I like it better than the movie though. I think the movie's good, but not as good as season one.
How do you compare the movie compared to season 2 then?
Movie is better than season two.
Okay. So, for me, personally, I think the movie is the best
Okay, cool.
by a little bit. Just a little bit. I think it's slightly better than season 1. I really enjoyed season 1. I did not like season 2 at all. I got
What was
about
it?
halfway through it. I don't even know.
Okay,
It
I still
just it
enjoyed
was not
season two,
interesting enough.
but it's not as good. I think the pacing is a lot worse with season two. It's a lot slower. Um, I feel like
It's definitely
they
slower.
had to do more filler stuff with season two. Like they didn't have as much story they were going to tell, so it feels more empty. Where season one, the entire time you're building this case and this intrigue and this mystery, and you're trying to piece all the pieces together and figure out where the show is going in an interesting way. Where season two, you have that love thing with Mickey, and it's not the best.
Yeah. I think everybody would agree season 2 isn't the best. Maybe I'm just a little bit harsh on it, but like I was really excited for it to come out. It came out, I got through like half of it and just have never been interested to go back and watch it again. But I
Would you?
do love the Lincoln Lawyer movie. I think it's super underrated.
I completely agree. People don't talk about it nearly enough. It's one of Matthew McConaughey's better movies, actually.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think you need to finish. Maybe you watch the last episode of season two, but I don't even know if you really have to do that. Would you try season three?
I've got nothing against it. I'd always intended to go back and finish season 2. It's just when I've had the choice between watching Lincoln Lawyer or watching something else, I've always chosen something else until Lincoln Lawyer was no longer on my mind.
And then you
So,
just moved on to other things.
yeah.
Okay,
Uh,
fair
but
enough,
yeah,
man.
I think Suits for the first 4 seasons is better than Lincoln Lawyer season 1. But if you're talking about all encompassing, there's more things that drag it Suits down after Mike gets out of jail that
Yeah,
I think I would put Lincoln Lawyer above Suits if you're talking about in its entirety.
I I don't know. I have a hard time remembering. I do this with a lot of shows, remembering individual seasons and how much I liked that individual season. Lincoln Lawyer is a little bit easier for me because I feel like it's this story is season one. This story is season two. This story is
Yeah.
season three. So I can kind of picture. I liked this story really, really well. Where Suits is, I don't remember where the story happens. I just remember this is the whole story. So I'd have to dig deeper to see if I like any individual Suits season more than season one of Lincoln Lawyer. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, the first 4 seasons, it's all the same story. Mike almost gets caught. Like, that's the entire story. And
That is the
then
story.
he goes to jail in the beginning of season 5, and you're like, okay, this is fine. I don't hate this. And then he gets out of jail, and then the show absolutely sucks
It
until,
tanks
like, the
hard.
very end. So that's why I say that, is because, like, until Mike actually gets caught, goes to jail, I genuinely really, really like Suits. I like the characters a little bit better. There's more interesting characters to me. Right, you've got Donna and Rachel and this, and to me, Lincoln Lawyer, you have the Lincoln Lawyer and you have supporting characters who aren't really like super developed. They're kind of just around to give some other stuff
Season three does
to the
develop them
story.
more, but there is some truth to that. I I I really 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 like Suits a lot. I even like Suits after this event, but the part where Rachel cheats on Ross, no, not Ross. That's a different show. What is his main name?
Mike.
Mike. Holy crap, I just did that. Um anyway, the part where Rachel cheats, I feel like I don't like that segment of the show at all. So I wouldn't even say the full 4 seasons. I think that part. I think you can have cheating in a show and have it make some sense. I thought that was just stupid. I didn't think it was well done at all. Thought it was complete filler garbage.
Agreed. Yep, I 100% agree with you. But I mean, like, not every
But
episode is good. And the thing about that cheating thing is that that part sucks and it's really stupid. And Rachel's not the kind of character that would do that.
I
And
agree.
you were already stretching the truth for her when you said she was younger and cheated, and he cheated and she knew. But it was kind of believable that when she cheats, it's, yeah, I agree, it's dumb. But it
It's
doesn't go
so
beyond
stupid.
that episode very much. So it's not like it ruins an entire season. It's like, oh, that was kind of a stupid plot point of that episode, but
Yeah, I
and
think it's
yeah, they
like
mention it in the next episode, but after that they
six.
never talk about it ever again. So,
They get into a fight for a couple episodes. It's a couple episodes where they're in a fight, and you have the will they, won't they, like with her cheating, will they, won't they cheat for 2 or 3 episodes beforehand too. So it's a good probably half a season that's kind of super tainted because of this dumb storyline.
yeah, but will they won't they cheat isn't the bad part about it, right? If they did will they won't they cheat and it comes to a close and she doesn't cheat, you wouldn't be mad at that plot line.
That's true, but the
And
entire
it
time I'm
doesn't
watching that,
ruin
and
those
I've watched
episodes.
Suits twice. I'm watching it, and I'm like, come on, Rachel, you're not an idiot. You're not dumb. Just don't don't be alone with this guy. You're not stupid. You're not like some 16-year-old. You know how to think. Stop being dumb. I
Yeah.
don't know. It just doesn't feel realistic to me. But that's just me.
Yeah. But anyway, that leads me to another question for you.
Yeah.
Suits LA, starring the guy who stars in Arrow. Is that something you're interested in watching at all?
Yes. Tentatively, yes. I didn't know this. Is this something that's officially announced?
Yep.
Okay. I didn't know
Yep.
that.
Yeah,
I
the actor actually has a great interview where he's talking about how he went through and deleted all of his contact information that he hasn't talked to in the last 3 months or 6 months or whatever it is. And then as soon as he got that gig, his phone started blowing up from numbers that he didn't know was his or didn't know the information from anymore. And he was like, that was the best thing I could have done for myself because I knew those weren't real friends. Because you didn't talk to me
interesting,
when I
man.
didn't have a role, you know? A lot of respect for him. I love him as an actor. Arrow season 1 is so good.
Arrow season one
Uh,
is very good. That
I
show's
think he's
another
a
one that
great
fell off a
person.
cliff.
Uh, I'm still tentative about it though.
I am tentative, but yes, I would totally give that a shot for sure.
Here's my
I think
thing
he's
though.
a good actor too.
A lot of
Yeah,
the Suits is the Mike of it all, and the he's doing illegal things by practicing law. What
and
is this show going to do if they try and add that, like, he, this new main character, is also practicing law without having gone to law school? I don't know how I'm going to feel about that. Probably not very good if they take that route.
I wouldn't like that either. But I bet they could just do a entertaining law show where they're trying to deal with cases and it's over dramatic and it's enjoyable, and I could have fun with that.
I could too. If it's just like the rest of Suits, where there's a lot of drama between becoming partner and, the office politics mixed with relationships mixed with some pretty interesting court cases, and you have the guy who's like, I never go to court, I always settle, and I'm the best closer in LA. And you have the guy who's like, oh, I always got to go to court and win. I'm the best arguer, and you have the Lewis of it all. It could be good. It could be. I'm very tentative because they're calling it Suits, that they're gonna try and make it more Suits than like law drama.
I bet they'll do a lot of law drama. I doubt they would do the whole super genius doesn't have a law degree thing again. I just don't see them doing that
Why are they calling it Suits then?
because it's a known name that people like and that gets them to give it a try. Because we wouldn't be talking about it if it wasn't Suits LA.
I would. Like I said, I really like that actor, and I think that actor is a very cool person. Uh, I have a lot of respect for him for going on American Ninja Warrior and doing the competition for charity. I think that's super cool.
I do too.
But yeah, I I think there's plenty of people out in the world knowing that we're kind of sick of sequels. We're kind of sick of spin-offs, and we're kind of sick of live action remakes, or not even live action remakes. I'm talking to you, Harry Potter. Um, like, these are so unnecessary. Is this going to be an unnecessary one? My gut is leaning towards yes,
But there's a
but
lot of people
only
that will love
because
it.
of this actor, I'm willing to give it a shot.
I mean, how many NCIS Law and Order shows are there? They'll
There's
give it a
tons.
try.
Yeah, there's tons, but
Yeah.
that's different, you know?
I think that what we're talking about with what Suits probably will be, where it's just a dramatic law show, it'll be a lot like a Law and Order type of a
Then
deal.
why is it not Law and Order LA?
It's because it's the Suits name. It's under the Suits banner, and it'll be a little bit different
Suits
because
is a
you're.
lot smaller of an IP than Law and Order or NCIS or
But NCIS and Law and Order had to start somewhere, and
yeah.
Suits started somewhere. It made a big show, and now it can branch out, and you can have Suits LA. And I think they shouldn't have done Suits LA. I think it would have been more interesting to do like Suits London, and followed the one girl who moves to London, the one who dates Harvey. I can't remember her
Yeah.
name. I think that would have been a cool show. I actually would have liked that. You don't like that
I
idea?
I don't like that idea.
Oh, I
Just
think that's
because they
I
already
like that.
gave so much of her story and so much of her development, like, I just know that the writers are gonna have an entire plot line about how she's still into Harvey.
And then it would be too connected to the original show instead of
Yeah.
pulling out and being
So you'd
separated.
have this plot line where she's really into this guy who never shows up on screen.
Yeah, that would be bad. That would be
It's
bad.
and you're making it a direct, like, I like the idea, but they need to do the Office Parks and Rec treatment where they say okay, now that we're over here, we're actually a different show. So we're going to give her a new character where she also just happens to be a lawyer. And it's going to be Suits London, but she's somebody else. You know,
That's fair.
she doesn't have to be the same person. Um, just because I think that was
Interesting
the
thought.
best thing that Parks and Rec could have done, right? Like Parks and Rec would have sucked if it was The Office Part Two. Like they would have been trying to
Yeah.
force Andy to be a Dwight character. They would have, it would not have been as good.
No, it wouldn't have.
Yeah.
Not at all. What
So
kind of Suits would you do? What city would you put it in? You're doing a new season of Suits. Do you go to LA? Do you go to London? Do you go to Miami? Do you go to somewhere more foreign and less Western?
I would pick a smaller town, honestly.
Interesting. Okay.
Right? Like you'd make your cases be a little bit more personal and involved and less corporatey, right? So you're not going to have Harvey going over and doing the case of can this company buy this other company for millions and millions and millions of dollars. You're going to have the case of more Lincoln lawyer y. You have this small law firm where each person kind of wants to be in control of the firm. Say you have three lawyers, just three, running this firm, and one person is trying the case of did Johnny kill Sally? And you have one person doing the case of, little guy versus big corporate America. Uh, did Walmart poison the cottage cheese or whatever? And you have another one that's doing another one of these like more personable kind of cases. So you do like Suits, Salt Lake City, or Suits, one of these like up and coming places. Suits, Austin. Uh,
That'd be interesting.
but you give the focus of the show to actually developing some characters as well as making it different because you're not going to have these big giant corporate kind of ridiculous dramas. You have more
Hometown
personal
kind of
kind of
deal.
stuff. Yeah.
But Austin's big enough that you could actually have the city aspect of Suits, but have it be in a different place and have it be a little bit more relatable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
So
I like that
that's
idea.
what I would do. I would just try and make it more unique and stand out on its own rather than hey, we're doing more suits but without any of the characters you like.
In LA instead of New
But
York.
now we're in LA, and that's the difference. So you should watch this show because everybody loves LA, right? I mean, I hate LA. It sucks.
I hate LA
Uh,
too. It's one of my least favorite cities in the United States.
but yeah,
Well, dude, let's go to your first one.
yeah. So my number one topic. I wish I would have played a little bit more of this before talking about it, but I started playing Telltale Games The Expanse.
Okay.
I've gotten through
What?
all of chapter 1. There are
All right.
5 or 6 chapters. I think it's 5. So I'm a fifth
I
of the
can't
way
remember.
into it. Is Telltale Games overrated? I say yes.
I think it depends completely on which game you're talking about. To be completely honest, they have hits and misses, in my opinion. Um, I've played the Expanse one and I liked the Expanse one a lot actually. Um, their Batman one is really good. Their Borderlands one's really good. Their what was that one called? The Wolf Among Us is fantastic. But then you have like let's see. There's a second Batman one that I hate. It's not good at all. There's the Monkey Island one, not good at all. Wallace and Gromit one, not good at all. See, like hits and misses.
Right, but they are regarded as one of the top storytelling developers. That's what I'm talking about is, do they deserve that crown? I'm not saying their games are bad. I'm not
Okay.
saying that their games are great. I have played through one and I've started this one. The one I
Okay.
played before is the one that made them really famous, and I think it sucks.
Is it the Walking Dead one?
Yeah.
I don't like the Walking Dead one either.
But everybody loves the Walking Dead one. It's like the
They
most
do.
famous one that they have. It's the one that made them really big. And like, I'm playing through the Expanse one. I've played through chapter one. It was fine. I don't have any complaints about it. I don't have any real big problems with it. But like, is the Telltale experience better than the Detroit Become Human experience?
So
Than the
the
traditional BioWare experience?
I think it's different. Detroit Become Human is a good example of one, but that's one game that they did. And Detroit Become Human is very good. It's very good in that type of game. Um, what's the Until Dawn company? Do you remember what that company's called?
I don't know what they're called.
Okay.
I'll look it
Anyway,
up.
Until Dawn is probably my favorite of that kind of game. I think they're the ones that do it the best.
Supermassive.
Supermassive. I love their games. I like pretty much all of their games. I've played all of them. Um, that would be the comparison I'd make, but there's just not that many studios that are doing what these companies do. And Telltale has multiple of these games that they've done very well, and they're kind of they're just different experiences. And you do have these branching paths and these branching narratives, and they do a good job with that. I think in their space, they have to be respected for what they've done.
I agree they deserve respect, but they
Mm-hmm.
are given the crown. Do they deserve the crown when you have Until Dawn and the new one I can't remember the name of, and they also
The
make the Dark Pictures games?
I I honestly would give the crown to Supermassive. I think Supermassive is better. Until Dawn is one of my favorite games ever. I don't know if it's a game that I'll only play maybe once. I might play it one more time, but I genuinely love it. I was super impressed, and I really like their other one too that I can't remember the name of right now.
Is it
Um,
the new one, The Quarry? Because I just
yeah, the new
remembered.
one, the Quarry. I really like the Quarry a lot too. I
Yeah.
thought both of them were great. I really like their Dark Pictures, all of them, but the first one. The first one's not great, but the rest of them are really good. I think they're fantastic. And because I've liked all of their games, even though there's less games, and the Until Dawn, which is my favorite one, I like more than any of the Telltale games. I would give it to Supermassive.
Right, but
But
that
people
leads to my
love
next
Telltale,
argument.
and you're doing
Quantity does not mean
so
quality.
many.
Like anybody
That's
can
true.
put
That's
out
true. That's true.
50 terrible games, and when
But
half of them people say suck.
you also have Telltale, which people who love the ones that they love the massively.
Yeah.
So you have like an Until Dawn to me, where someone else feels that way about their Borderlands game, which is fantastic. I would give it to Supermassive, but I understand if people absolutely just love Telltale, and if they have more of a connection to a Borderlands or to a Batman or to an Expanse or whatever, to a Walking Dead.
Here's where I'm at. I just think that it's a little bit overrated. Just a
That's
little
fair.
bit.
I think it's a little
Mostly
overrated too.
because I don't think that it should be a hands down Telltale has the best storytelling when we have talked about two other companies that have done it. If there was a conversation, right? If people were out there like, oh, I think it's Supermassive. Oh, I think it's the people that made Detroit. Oh, I think it's Telltale. I'd be like, okay, that's exactly where it needs to be. I don't think they're so far and above that they deserve the hands down crown like they have. especially
Okay,
with so many bad games,
that's fair. That's
right?
absolutely
Like
fair.
you liked Batman, but most people didn't, to my knowledge. You know,
They don't, and
uh,
I'm genuinely surprised by that.
yeah. So it's when you, yeah. Anyway, so that's where I'm at. I am playing it. I'll give some updates as I go along and finish some more of it. But that was my first topic. I just wanted to see perspective on Telltale Games as a developer because I just from everything I've experienced with them, I just think they're a tiny bit overrated.
I agree. I think they're a little overrated too, and I can see where you're coming from because Until Dawn, Supermassive should be in that conversation, and people don't mention it at all.
Well, for sure. And then Until Dawn, from the very beginning, choices really matter.
Absolutely.
In The Expanse,
And they
Chapter
matter
1,
throughout the
not
entire
one
thing.
of your choices matter at all.
The thing with some of the Telltale games that I would put lower, one of the things, is that sometimes it matters just for this chapter. Where with
Yeah.
Until Dawn, you can literally not pick up a can of tuna in part one, and that can of tuna will come to bite you in the butt in the end. I
Yeah, because you'll
literally
slip on it
lost,
while you're running away.
yeah, I literally lost the
Yeah.
quarry. I lost it because I didn't pick up a flashlight in part three, and I had like half of my team wipe out at the very end because I didn't pick up some stupid flashlight.
Yep. Yeah. To me, I would give it to Supermassive, mostly because I do love the Quarry. Um, I think
It was
that's
very
their
good.
best game. Just because it feels very much like Until Dawn, but just a little bit better and a little bit more. Um,
I thought it
but
was a little bit
yeah.
more, and I actually liked the Until Dawn better because I felt like it was a perfect balance. To me, it was perfect. I wouldn't change anything
Oh,
about Until Dawn.
I liked the additions of the Quarry. Make make it so you're exploring a little bit more, making sure you're a little bit more connected to the characters rather than just four teens go to a cabin in the middle of the woods. You know, um, which not to say that's a bad thing. I still love Until Dawn, um,
Both great games.
but I will replay both of those games. So
I
far, I will not replay any Telltale game.
That's fair, man. I think I might actually replay the quarry because I did lose at the end and I want to win. That's the only thing I would give to the quarry over Until Dawn. I think it's harder. Until Dawn, I didn't lose anybody, and it really wasn't that difficult to not lose anybody. The quarry, unless you make absolutely perfect decisions, you're probably going to lose some people. I don't know, did
I
you lose anyone?
uh I lost the two people I disliked, so I didn't care. Um,
Oh, okay.
Here's why I say I will replay Until Dawn and I will replay The Quarry. It's
Okay.
not because I have this instinct in me that's like, I am really excited to replay these games and get these different outcomes.
Hmm.
Because, like, as in The Quarry, I lost the people that I didn't like, and I was like, I don't care that you're dead. Literally. If I could have killed you in chapter one, I would have done it
I would
because
have.
I hate you. Uh, but the reason I will replay The Quarry and the reason I will play Until Dawn and the reason I will replay Detroit is the same reason our friend Josh is replaying them.
Okay.
Will replay The Quarry is introducing them to his girlfriend.
Oh, I see.
And I definitely would things that come up
I would enjoy playing with a kid.
and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah,
that's
we
why I would replay those games. It's not because I want to see the different endings because I want to see the different just looking that kind of stuff up once I've beaten a game like whatever. I don't want to replay an entire game to get a 30-second cutscene. It's those games to
it's to see their experiences.
people and to do those and to see what choices they make and kind of make fun of them for not doing the quick time event quite well enough and whatever it may be. That's why those games are replayable. So far, Telltale Games,
Not as
Like
much
I
that
would
way.
recommend The Expanse so far. It's a fun game, but I wouldn't care enough to sit and play it with them or watch them play it or anything like that. So
That's fair. One of the reasons I liked Until Dawn and The Quarry so much is because my wife and I, both of them were on Friday nights. We started them at like 6 o'clock on Friday night, and they were both like, "Let's just keep going. Let's just keep going." And this happened with both games. And we didn't sleep either nights and played the entire game in a night. And it's just a good, fun experience. And it is cool to see how other people react and what choices they make. And
yeah,
if they miss a shot and their character dies, be like, "Ha ha, you missed."
yeah,
It's fun.
yeah.
That's cool. Well,
All
man,
right.
let's go to my second one, and
Yeah,
I'm excited to talk to you about this. Rising Impact. I
yeah.
am absolutely 100% addicted to this show.
How
I
far
didn't think
into
I would like it as much as I do. I love this show. The main
it are you?
I'm halfway through season 2 and I started like 3 days ago.
There's only one season.
No, there's 2.
Pretty sure there's only one.
Yeah, it's the competition is going on right now.
Oh, that's
Like
right. Yeah,
the
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I'm probably not halfway. I'm like 6 episodes into season 2, something like that. They just finished the Hares game part of the competition.
Okay.
I it's very wholesome. And I love the little kid's energy. Whoever does the voice work for that little kid is so good. Most of the time with those little kids, they're really annoying, but they did a good job of making it feel like he's someone who's a third grader, and he has like this 1950s. I'm a singer in a I don't know, a 1950s like bow tie kind of band, little like he's got that energy about him that I love. I love how he has that
Barbershop
little.
quartet.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. He's got that vibe about him. He has the little brother thing that goes on, and they write the little brother thing really, really well. He's constantly lifting people up. He's constantly excited about the next part in life, about being able to hit the ball again. Um, I like how they do progression fantasy with with golf, and I like that they have this real. You've taught me golf lessons, and they've literally told things in the show that you have taught me, which I think is awesome. It's a show that I would show to kids to get them into golf because it has real good lessons. It has great characters. It has this progression. It's fun. Um, it's just a wildly enjoyable show.
Yep. I think you said it beautifully. It's awesome. I love the show. I'm so excited for season 3. Uh keep it coming. Like keep more content like that. Keep more positive stuff coming my way. I love it. It
I
makes a
do.
difference in my life. It makes me feel better in my daily life. Uh gives me more confidence in doing things, and like when I was watching Rising Impact, you know what I wanted to do every day? Go to the golf course. It's a great show. I know the sales pitch I gave a couple of weeks ago or last week, whenever it was, about this show is not that enticing. I understand that. Anybody who's listening, I know it's not a great sales pitch, but that's kind of how anime is. I feel like you can never really have a great sales pitch when you're talking about the plot of something, but it's good. It's really really good.
It's very good, and if I were trying to sell it to somebody, it's just if you had your little brother and all he wanted to do was play golf, everything in the world for him was playing golf, and he finds out that he has a wonderful, wonderful talent for that golf. And then as he's progressing, all of the drama that goes into anime works for him. I will do this one shot. This one shot is my last opportunity, and I will hit that ball, and I will use my power, and I will launch it further than I've ever launched it before. And you can see your little brother having that kind of enthusiasm for the game. And it makes you love this kid. It is like you are loving your little brother. That's how I feel about it. and that's probably why I love the show as much as I do. Like I said, I started this 2 or 3 days ago, and I have watched. I don't even know how many episodes it is. A lot of episodes of this show. I was planning on going back to another topic, my next topic on here, but I got sucked into this show and I just couldn't get off. So I would play video games on one half of my screen, and this show would just play. It made me feel good. It made me laugh. It's fantastic.
It's great. It's a show I really really like a lot, and I hope it continues its popularity and grows, and we get more of it. Because I would love to see what happens to this little kid in life. You know,
Me too.
I'd love
I'd
to
actually
get
love
there.
to see an age jump with the show where you have him like maybe win this tournament and then you jump forward a couple years to where he's a sixth grader or a high schooler and then they're having competitions there and he's more of a like going into a pro level or something like that. I think that would
I
be
think
cool.
there needs to be 3 phases.
Okay.
Yeah, you do 3 seasons where he's the little kid. You have 3 seasons where he is now in the shoes of not a, I forgot what his name, Lancelot. You know,
Yeah.
he's a teenager. He's doing amateur competitions, and then you do 3 seasons of pro him,
That would be
or
cool.
maybe just a season of pro him. But
But then
yeah,
he's
just
goes and
three
gets whatever
phases.
the top championship is.
Yeah,
That would be cool.
he
I would
hits the
like that a lot.
longest drive in the world, or whatever it ends up being. So yeah, I think that would be really really cool, and you keep him and Lancelot and their big brother little brother thing through the ages, and you show how it develops. You know, because right now he's the annoying little brother who really wants to be around the older brother, but the older brother doesn't really want that. It's kind of like feels
And they
like he
do
kind of
such a
has
good
to.
job with that dynamic.
Yeah,
Such a
and
good
then you
job.
have the teenager years where there's all the jealousy and the hurt feelings or whatever, and then you have them be older and they're like best friends, and
That would be
they
awesome.
finally got over themselves and play competitions together or whatever it is. I would be really cool. I'd be super into it. I like
Me
it.
too.
I like that idea a lot.
Me too. All right,
All
man.
right.
What is your number two?
My second topic for today is Formula One again. Uh, but kind of like 3 little parts. So, part one is Max Verstappen has officially won the World Drivers' Championship. Congratulations, Max Verstappen. Woo!
Boo!
Good for him. Uh, I'm actually okay with it. He showed a lot of
Okay.
maturity in this race.
How so?
He was getting past, and historically, no matter what it would cost him, he wouldn't want to lose any positions no matter what.
Hmm.
And he put the championship ahead of it and let the cars go by without putting up any fight. And I was actually pretty impressed with that. Um, Here's my negative notes towards that. People have started a conversation about him being in the GOAT conversation. Sorry, people who believe he should be in the GOAT conversation. He shouldn't. 1 championship was given to him. 2 championships he had no competition in. None. Not even his own teammate. And this fourth one is the first one he's actually earned in my mind. And the way he responded to it was exactly how I just responded. Woohoo! I won! Yay! Take the pictures so I can go home and get drunk. And yeah, and that's exactly what he did. Like, I just didn't feel the energy. Um, when you see the other drivers win a race, you can see it in their eyes and their face, their genuine elation. And Max Verstappen is just a robot who's like, okay, I'm going to pretend to be
Just
really
did another
excited
one.
and get through it and get the pictures so that people say I don't care and move on with my day because that was that. I'm going to go play virtual racing now or whatever it is he does. Um, so that's what I saw. Um, and he just doesn't deserve to be in the GOAT conversation. The other drivers in the GOAT conversation have definitely earned it more and had to fight for more titles than Max did.
What if he fights for a title next year and wins that? Does he deserve to be in the conversation then?
No,
What would it take for him to
he
earn
would
being
have
in
to
that
have
conversation?
4 to 5 that he actually had to fight for, because
Okay.
that's what Lewis Hamilton and Michael Schumacher had to do. They had to fight for 6. They never had an easy year. Now, a lot of people will say, I am a Lewis fan, full disclosure, but a lot of people will be like, well, Lewis had the fastest car. And I would say, well, Lewis had to fight Rosberg and even lost one year to Rosberg. Lewis had to fight Bottas, and while Bottas didn't put up much of a fight, he still put up a fight, right? At least for part of the year until he was, I think he's the greatest teammate driver ever. And he played his teammate role eventually, and he took a side role, and he contributed, but like it was never from day one you knew who the main driver was going to be that year, or it was a given that Lewis and was going to be ahead of Bottas, or that Bottas would get out of Lewis's way, because they often battled each other on track. Max has battled on track 2 out of his 4 years. The first year, his title was given to him, and I don't think he actually earned it. And this year, which he did have to fight, he had to fight with all of the drivers, and he had some weak moments. I think that he showed his immaturity and his piss poor attitude that I really don't like. Um, I think that came to light again because of his having to actually battle people. But 2 of those years, he didn't. He just phoned it in. He didn't have to try and do anything. There were races last year where he was talking about virtual races and what he would have for dinner after the race because he was so far ahead. He didn't even have to think. Um,
Hmm.
so I know Lewis had some easy times. I know Schumacher had some easier times because he was in a Ferrari. And yes, Lewis had the fastest car. Yes, Schumacher had the fastest car. Yes, Max has the fastest car. I understand that. But Schumacher always had good teammates, to my knowledge. Always. Every single one of them. Lewis has always had good teammates. Always. I don't think Checo Perez, Max's teammate, should be in Formula One and should not have been in Formula One for like the last 4 years.
Why do you think he is?
Because he's so underperforming.
No, like why is he still in?
Oh, he has a bunch of sponsorship money.
Oh, okay.
So Red Bull is actually getting, I think it's an $8 million a year sponsorship from Kit Kat because of Checo.
Interesting. And
Like
why
he's bringing in
Checo?
a lot of money. He's Mexican and brings in fans and sells merch and whatever because he's from that part of the world.
Okay.
That's my best guess. I don't really
And
know people. Don't get too mad at me. That's
are
just
the
my estimation.
other is there not another Mexican driver?
Not right now, no.
Okay, so that
Next year
makes
you're
some
gonna
sense.
have an Argentinian, um, but yeah, it's he just brings in a lot of money to Red Bull, and I think that's the only reason he's kept his seat for as long as he has. Because honestly, last year at the summer break halfway mark, everybody had predicted he was losing his seat. And then they announced after the break that they had extended his contract till 2026.
Hmm.
That's how bad he was doing. Literally everybody was like, he's out of the seat. He can't keep his seat at this point. He Red Bull needs him to perform so that they can win the constructors title. They just need him to, and he wasn't. And this year at the summer break, he had a rule in his contract that said if you are more than 100 points behind Max Verstappen by summer break, you will lose your Red Bull seat.
Was
He
he?
was 175 points behind Max Verstappen, and he kept his seat.
Wow. So yeah, it only can be money. I don't know what else would keep
It is.
unless he knows some major dirt.
I'm very convinced it's gotta be the money. There is a big question about who would take his seat. There's Yuki Tsunoda, there's Liam Lawson, Daniel Ricciardo, uh, Franco Colapinto's available next year. He's been performing extremely well. Um, there's a big question mark about who deserves the Red Bull seat, and are those people actually better than Checo? You ask me, Yuki has absolutely earned that seat and deserves to at least prove that he's as good or better than Checo. Plain and simple.
And do you think he's just better than Checo?
Yuki, absolutely. So
Absolutely.
Yuki has
Okay.
been at the Red Bull Junior team since he joined Formula One, and they
Okay.
keep testing him. They keep saying, well, let's see how he does against Daniel Ricciardo. Let's see how he does against Liam Lawson. Let's see how he does against, I think Joe was his last teammate. I don't even remember. They kept giving him drivers to test him to see if he was better, and every single time he's beaten and demolished them.
Hmm.
Like in this last race, uh, in a less good car, Yuki Tsunoda he finished the race ahead of Checo and his teammate by like 5 positions.
Wow. Do you think
Like he
Checo is
beat
like
them. He beat
legitimately? Do you think Checo is legitimately not Checo? Yuki is legitimately like Formula One first seed that
I
level?
don't know. I don't
You
know.
don't know? Okay.
He's only ever been at the back.
Okay.
But the only way to know is to put him in the front. He's earned a
Just give
spot
him
to
give him a
show.
shot.
Give him a shot at it. At least let him bring in some extra points. Because Checo's not bringing in any. Like, what are you losing?
Nothing besides
Nothing.
the sponsorship
He's
money.
not prone to. They'd still get the money because Checo would have to go to Visa Cash App RB, which is also a Red Bull team. So Red Bull ultimately would still be getting the money.
Oh, so it doesn't matter at all. They should get Checo out of there.
Yeah. But yeah, I have my opinions. I think that Bottas should be out of the league. I think that Zhou should be out of the league. I think Ocon should be out of the league. I think Stroll should be out of the league, and I think Perez should be out of the league. Those are 5
Hmm.
drivers that I think have shown that they don't deserve their seats, and there's a ton of young talent coming up in Formula 2 that everybody's wondering, like, the ones who do show up and race in Formula One cars for like a race or half a season or whatever. One cars for like can do it. They've shown that they can perform. There's not drivers that are showing that they don't deserve their seats. Bottas, he just doesn't seem interested in winning anymore. He was a great driver. I still think he's the best teammate you could possibly have. Stick him in a top car and he will perform and he will get points, but he's not going to challenge your number 1 driver. Best teammate ever, Bottas. But he is just like, I'm going to go race on Sunday and whatever. I'll be at the back, no big deal. And then I'm going to go do my cycling or whatever it is I actually want to do with my time. That's the
He
vibe I
just
get from
phones it
him.
in, gets the paycheck, and then does
Yeah.
what he wants to do.
Yeah. He has not shown me at all that he deserves or that he has a desire to still be in Formula One.
He doesn't have the hunger.
Yeah. Zhou
Hmm.
and Perez just don't have the talent. I like Perez as a person. I like Zhou as a person. They're nice guys, but they
They
just,
don't have the
pure
talent.
and simple, they don't have the talent. They've never done anything extraordinary. Well, Perez has done some really cool stuff, but not in like 5 years. And Zhou
Okay.
has only done one like half decent performance, and the rest is like utter garbage. He's never really
Mediocre.
performed. Ocon is not skilled and kind of an asshole, so I think he should go. And yeah, then bring in those young guys, bring in those new guys. I think that's where it needs to go. But my second piece of Formula One news, I'm really
Hmm.
excited for. There has been an 11th team added to the grid for 2026. So you're going to have 22 cars instead of 20. And it
Who is it?
is GM. They're going to be racing under
Oh,
the Cadillac name. Fully
very
American
cool.
team. They're gonna bring in their, I think Hertz or whatever his last name is. Really young driver, American. So you're gonna have an American team with an American driver in 2026, And the big question really is who's going to be in the second seat, because this is pretty much just a given. Um, they've been floating around some names. Top of the list is Daniel Ricciardo making yet another Formula One return. Would be pretty cool to see, but I think he's been given too many chances and hasn't performed well enough to get yet another one. And the only reason they would get him is because of his personality and the merchandise they would sell for having him.
Okay.
Um,
That's cool.
Other
That's
names
exciting
that they're
news.
talking about is Sebastian Vettel. If they brought in Seb, oh my gosh, I would be so into that. I love him as a driver. He's so good. I'm
Okay.
sad he retired. I'm sad I only got 1 year to watch him race. Please come back, Seb. Love you so much. You're the best. I would be so ecstatic to see you in a Chevy. Um, and the last consideration isn't one that I've heard anybody talk about, and it is Botas. And I think that that would be a role that I would be happy having him in, simply because he's not competing. He is simply being an experienced driver to the young driver and the new team. The
And giving
Some
him some
people have talked about
pointers and help.
Perez taking that seat. No,
Cool.
Perez sucks. He's not a good driver.
Kick him out.
Just yeah, just get him out. Let him go do whatever. But I'm so excited. 22 seats, more cars on the track. Chevy is gonna be there. Not really. It's gonna be GM Cadillac, but
Are they building
I
their
would
own
race
engine,
under
or are
the
they having
Corvette
someone
name,
else
but
build the
whatever.
engine?
They are going to be using Ferrari, I think, until
Okay.
2028. Then they will develop their own engine.
Very cool. Very,
Uh,
very cool.
I'm
And
excited for it. I think it's great.
you might be able to go to some of the races next year and actually see them compete in person, which would be sick.
Possibly, probably not. I don't think I'm going to go to any races. But I just think that more competition, good.
I agree.
Very excited about this. The big controversy is they originally applied with the Andretti name, which is a very accomplished um, company in racing, and they were denied because, quote, they weren't valuable enough to Formula One. Formula One would do more for Andretti than Andretti would do for Formula One.
Oh,
And then
okay.
they resubmitted the same bid but without the Andretti name, and it was accepted.
Hmm.
And so people are like, oh, what does this mean? Is Andretti still involved? Are they not? Blah, blah, blah. I'm sitting here like, they're just going to race under the Cadillac name for 2 years and then sell a controlling interest to Andretti. Because they can do that. They can sell their team. So why wouldn't they just sell to Andretti and bring in all that experience and money? I don't know. That's what I
I don't
predict
either.
is going to happen. I think it's going to be Cadillac for. That's what I predict is going to happen. I think it's going to be Cadillac to sell. So anyway, that's just my prediction. Anyway, let's
That's
go
cool news,
ahead,
man.
continue with yours. I'm very interested
Okay.
what you have to say.
So, this is the other anime that I honestly think you would love. It has the fun lightheartedness, it's deliciousness in the dungeon. Um, and the basic premise is you start off and they have a raid, and you're going a raid against a red dragon. The main character gets pushed off to the side, and the sister gets eaten. In this dungeon, if you heal a character fast enough, their spirit can't leave their body, and they will basically resurrect. Anyway, so they cast a spell because they're losing this fight that pushes them back to the start of the dungeon. They don't have any money, they don't have anything at all. All their stuff gets left in that red dragon lair. So they don't have the time or the money to go back down, rescue the sister out of the dragon's stomach, and be able to buy all of this gear. They just have to go. In this world, it is taboo to eat dungeon monsters. You're not supposed to do it, but the main character secretly wants to. Everyone else in the group really doesn't. He goes into the dungeon with this plan to eat dungeon monsters. that he's always wanted to do. They find a dwarf who lives in the dungeon and is like a professional cook and teaches them all this stuff. Everybody else gets to where they're like, "Oh crap, this dungeon monster is super good." And so is this one. And the show turns from we're trying to save the sister to while we're trying to save the sister, let's try all the delicious dungeon monsters we possibly can. It's very funny. Um, they do a lot of creative things with the way that the dungeon works and like creating potions and healing and stuff like that with the dungeon monster ingredients. The characters are a lot of fun. I think you would have a blast with this show.
I've seen part of season 1 already.
Oh, you have? What do you think
Yeah,
so far?
it's good. I'll watch
Okay,
it
okay,
eventually. Yeah,
okay.
I'm not like super stoked invested in it, but it's good enough. I'll keep watching it at some point.
Yeah, I
I
I
don't have any
really
real
like it.
good complaints. It's good.
Okay. I thought you would actually
Yeah.
be more into it than just that. I think it's hilarious. There's a part where you might have watched this already, but they're talking about eating the red dragon, and they have this graphic go up where the dragon eats their party members, and then they're thinking about eating the dragon, and it zooms to the party members' faces, and they're just like, "Huh," and it killed me. I thought it was so funny. Um, I really like the show.
The funniest part to me is when they find the dead body and they have the big conflict about whether or not they should report it or not.
Yeah, that was
And they're
funny
like,
too.
"No,
I
it's gonna
love
be
that.
fine. It's gonna be fine. Just leave him. It'll be fine." And then the one
And then they
finally
hang him
gives
up.
up, and they're like, "Fine," and he gets eaten. Yeah. Um. Yeah. It's a good show for sure.
I
Yeah.
liked it a lot. All right, man. What is your next one?
Star Citizen just came out with a new update. They're doing
Oh,
their
it did.
free fly
Cool.
event right now. This has taken up my free time. This is why I haven't played more of the Expanse, honestly. Um, I've been on 3 times in the last week with a group of people to play with, which makes all the difference in the world. They're doing these special events for the thing, so we're doing these cargo runs where you actually feel like a real crew. Um, so we have our pilot. The rest of us are in turrets, and we fly into this area, and the objective is to kill the enemies and save the cargo. So you fly around. I'm in my turret, and I'm shooting all these uh, fighters, and then once you get them all cleared out, you then exit the ship, and through space you grab cargo and you place it on the ship, and then you go and you deliver the cargo to where it needs to go. So like you actually feel like an actual like space crew.
That
It's
sounds
not like a
sweet.
lot of these games where you just kind of are just the turret guy. To me that's not super fun. I'm just the turret guy. All I'm doing is just shooting this turret. But
It feels
because
more
we're
than that, and
this
like you have an objective.
makeshift crew, we threw this group together. We got on this Star Lancer. We went out. We shot down the enemies, and then as a crew, one of us would pull the cargo out of the ship. One of us would catch the cargo floating through space and place it on the ship. If it was far enough distance, you'd have one person in between, kind of chaining it along the line, you know. And then uh, I played yesterday with the same group, and we actually got more than 3 of us, which was awesome. So we had 5 of us, and so we had to take out an even bigger ship and fly out and rescue the cargo. And we're just having so much fun in this little ship, and our pilot's still our pilot, and it's just so much fun. It's such a great way to experience this game. It is definitely so much better socially to play with somebody than to play alone. Because honestly, when I was playing alone, you do like a cargo run, and what it has you do is you go out and you grab some cargo and you load it on your ship, and then you fly and you deliver it, and
Mhm.
you're like, great. And then it gives you like 5,000 credits, and you're like, great, that paid for my fuel plus a little extra. I'm gonna keep doing that again and again and again and again. But this one, it's like you're actually a crew. You're going out together, and it pays out like 200,000 credits to each person. Not
That's
that it
cool.
matters because they're gonna wipe it from the game, and those credits don't really mean anything. Um, but yeah, you just actually feel like this kind of like makeshift crew going out to save the cargo. As as silly as that kind of thing is, it's just such a cool experience to do it with the group. Uh, I sent you the video. You can go to jail, and these guys broke out from jail, and they had their friend come fly in on their ship and pick them up as they're running away from the turrets that were shooting at them. And that's just cool that you can do it in this game.
That is
I can
cool.
have fun going out with the group and doing some mining in space, and whatever. And the new stuff that they have coming to this game, I know we've already kind of talked about it when we talked about our favorite games, but like they're adding dynamic weather where lightning can hit your ship if you're in atmosphere, and
It's very cool.
it looks gorgeous, and I'm so excited. They're still adding more and more content, and it's so much fun. It's such a good group multiplayer game to where there's not one best thing either. It's not like everybody's just doing this one thing kind of at the same time, or I'm not as good at fighting games as you are, so I just get wrecked at it, or you're
You're
not as good
all
as
doing
first person
something
shooters.
together.
Yeah, you're all working as a team to achieve this goal, and it's so cool. I'm having a blast with it. Um, I know this game kind of ebbs and flows for me, where I'll play it a lot for like a week or two or whatever, and then I'll kind of stop playing. But I think till the end of the year, I'm going to be pretty consistently playing this game because they're releasing a new patch. And with 4.0, they are releasing an entirely new star system that you're going to get to go to with entirely new planets. And these
That's
are
cool.
the new dynamic planets that I'm so excited to go visit and see with like weather and wildlife and all this kinds of stuff. So
When does 4.0 come out?
I don't think there's an actual date yet, but they predict sometime in December.
Very cool.
So within a week or two, I think is when it's predicted to be released. So yeah,
That's awesome. Whenever you
you
guys play
should
next,
play.
just let me know. I would love to play. I'd love to give it
Well,
a shot.
get it downloaded and updated, and we can play anytime you're free. Um,
Okay.
Usually Tuesdays, and see, we played Saturday night for a little bit, but usually Tuesdays are that group's kind of like gaming day for whatever game they're going to play. Um,
Okay.
so, but yeah, if you want to go and hop in, like we can play 2 player. That's totally good. Um, it's a good time. It's a
Sweet,
really
man.
good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it. I'm excited. It's a cool game, and I'm excited where they're going. I think it's going to be it could be one of the greatest games of all time if they can pull off what they're trying to do. It's ambitious. It's cool.
I think
I
it's
think they can
going
do
to
it.
be the best MMO.
I could see that for sure. And they have
I
the
I
money to
think
be
it
able
just
to
is.
make
Yeah.
it into that.
Yeah. It's it's gonna be this, or it's gonna be World of Warcraft. That's gonna be the conversation. I never got into World of Warcraft. I still have no interest in playing World of Warcraft. But man, Star Citizen, that's a game that, like, yeah, I'm not the biggest MMO player. I'm not going to go log in every single day and do every single thing. I understand that. But it is the type of game that if, like, anybody in my friend group is like, hey, you want to go do some mining for an hour?
You would just do it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great time. I have an hour. Let's do it. Or hey, you want to go do this raid and like do your first person shooter stuff, or you want to go save the cargo, or hey, they're doing a I
Do
forgot
they
what they
have
call them
like
in game.
raid boss type situations in this game?
No, but well, sort of.
Okay.
So they have missions that you fly down to a planet's surface and have to take out a turret on a building, and then approach the building after landing, and then go into the building and kill all of the guys inside the. They're called Nine Tails. It's kind of like the crime group in the game. Um, so they have a lot of different stuff. They are developing a greater story for the universe. They announced that at CitizenCon this year. I'm very
Cool.
interested as to what that's going to be. I actually don't have high expectations for it. I think it's just going to be this is how you mine, and then you fly to another space, and it's like this is how you bounty hunt, and this is how you capture a guy alive, and then you fly to another one, and then it's like this is what you need to do when you actually need to kill the guy. This is how you do refining. That's what I think this like greater story is gonna be. um, but they are planning on having like random universe events where this Nine Tails organization is going to attack a space station, and they're going to send out a distress signal to anybody who can come, and then you and let's say you have a max server of, I think they wanted to get 5,000 other players. I know the next one is going to up it from 100 to 200 players, but you and 90 players, 50 players, whatever it is, all random, don't know each other, all just jump to this space station and try and defend it. Um,
That's cool.
it's
That's very
so
cool.
cool. They did a test run of it. I got to play last year where you got to choose either a space station was taken over and there was an evacuation. So you got to choose if you wanted to attack and storm the space station or if you wanted to protect the evacuation ship from space.
That's
So
very cool.
I'm very excited for when they add more of that kind of content. But right now they're just doing they call it IEE week, where they're doing the free fly event and showing off their new ships and doing that kind of stuff. But we are getting some like specific mission for this time. So like the cargo mission I'm doing right now is not going to be a pick it up at any point in time and do it kind of thing. But there's always something fun to do. One of my favorite missions, you can do it anytime. There's an 890 jump. It's this spaceship that's like this space yacht. It is one of the most expensive ships you can get in the game. If you buy it in real life, I think it's like $30,000 or something. Um, Maybe it's only 10K. I don't know. Some ridiculous amount of money that you shouldn't spend for just one virtual ship, honestly.
Digital
Um,
ship, yeah.
but they have one that's dead in the water, and some pirates are on it. And your goal is to take out the enemy fighters and then storm the yacht and protect the executives from getting killed.
Very
So it's
cool.
timed. You have to do it in a certain amount of time. So it's one that I have done solo, but since they've increased the AI's capability in terms of how they like counterattack you, I haven't been successful at it. But you fly in, you take out two fighters probably. It's usually not very much, and then you jump out and you fly through space in through the docking port, and then you pull your SWAT, you crouch and you poke your head around every corner and you're shooting these guys as you're trying to clear it in time. It's so much fun. I love it. It's such a good time. And like it would be cool to do that with some people. I haven't done that one with people yet, but I would like to. It's a fun one.
That's sweet, man. That sounds awesome. Yeah, I'll download it. We'll give it a shot.
Yeah, it's fun. I really really like it. All right. What do you got for us?
All right. So I finished Ori and the Blind Forest. Last week I was talking about it and I was kind of like, yeah, it's pretty good. I think it gets way, way better. You have more abilities, it gets more technical. The color scheme is beautiful. I love the timing element of everything. I haven't played a lot of platformers really, so take that for a grain of salt. I haven't played a ton of them. I found parts of it to be very difficult. I liked the grind on figuring out what I needed to do, in what order, how fast I needed to go and do it. The music is beautiful. The visuals are gorgeous. I like it enough that I'm going to buy Will of the Wisps, the second one, today and probably start it. Um, I really enjoyed the end of this, and it has a really heartwarming, great message at the end of it. It's just a good, enjoyable game. I would recommend it. Before I wouldn't have. I changed my mind on it.
Okay. I will have to give it a shot at some point, but I think all my gaming time is just gonna go to Star Citizen this week. I'm so obsessed with it right now, and I'm so mad. Okay, sorry to change back to Star Citizen, but they have a
Nah,
ship
dude,
in
I
it.
can tell your passion.
It's my favorite ship in the entire game, but they only run it for limited times.
Okay.
I went onto their online store to buy it, and they only sell a certain quantity each time,
Okay.
and the purchase doesn't succeed just automatically. You have to wait for it to clear before they give you the ship. So
All right.
last night I went on and I bought it, but I used my Utah zip code and not my actual zip code anymore. So my purchase was declined. And when I went on this morning to buy the
Oh,
ship, it was sold out.
that
I have literally been
sucks.
waiting years to buy the ship. Years.
That
Years.
sucks
2 years
so
I've been
bad.
waiting to buy the ship. That's my rant for that over. Okay.
That
We
was a
can
good
move on
rant.
now.
That sucks.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm
It's
sorry, man.
good. It's I should not spend real money on digital ships like this. Like I should spend my real money on real things.
It
That's
matters
what I
how
should
much you're
do.
playing it. Wait, when they do the update, do you lose this ship?
No, anything you buy with real money, you don't. When they do the update, what it means is all your character information in progress. So, like if you had a crime stat, that's wiped. All of the
Okay,
credits you
okay.
earned in game, that's wiped. Um, all of the in-game ships that you bought, that's wiped. All of the in-game stuff that you bought, that's wiped. And you essentially go back and you have to choose a new quote-unquote home base, and you get to design your character all over again, and you basically just start from scratch. But anything real money will always be yours. They're never going to take it away.
Cool. Dude,
Um,
if I I think video games are one of the cheapest ways to have entertainment. It's one of the things I like about video games. And if you love that ship and you're going to put, I don't know, 40 hours in the next just 2 weeks into this game, it seems worth it to me.
what if I told you the ship was $350?
It matters how much you're going to play this game. If it's your favorite MMO and you're going to play it for the next decade, buy your freaking ship.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
That's what
Uh,
I think.
you will be able to you can get the ship in game. Um, so that's what I might honestly do because I've already spent enough money on ships. I might just earn enough and buy it in game.
How
But
hard is it to earn like this ship? How much time would it require probably to earn this ship?
so I think to buy it in game is 15 million credits. I want to say.
Okay.
It's the Constellation and Constellation Phoenix is the ship,
Okay.
um, and it's the luxury version of the ship. I already have the non-luxury version of the ship because that one isn't sold at the non. So like I would honestly, they call it upgrading the ship, where you take your in-game credit or the money you spent on the other ship and apply it towards the other ship, lose the
Okay.
first ship and get this. So I really wouldn't be spending $350 in one shot, just total. Um, but it's this luxury ship that you're supposed to have like a crew of 4 or 5 people in it, but it's just stupid because you have like it's got a hot tub on the inside of the ship and a pool table rather than like the other version of ship that I have now, which is just like a big cargo bay. But what I love about the Constellation series is it's 2 ships. So you have
Okay.
a big ship that you're supposed to have your 5 people in, right?
Yeah.
And you fly out to this conflict or whatever you're doing, and then you have because it has a hyperdrive. But then you have a fighter that docks into the back of the ship that
That's
doesn't
pretty
have a
sweet.
hyperdrive that can take off, and then you have to. So if you had 4 people. You know, you had your pilot, 2 gunners, and your little fighter. It would be so cool. And the one I want is just the luxury version, so I would actually get less out of it than the one I do have. But it's just a beautiful looking ship. I love how it looks. I like the stupid luxury that it has for no reason. Like that means nothing in game right now. Eventually you can do exploration and you'll be able to like live in your ship, so you can like log out and then 10 days later log back in and you'll go back into your ship where you were. So it'll have a little bit more use then because it has like beds and a place to put food, like, and the ship I have now doesn't. But it's such a cool ship. I love it a lot. Not a lot of people love it. I like it a lot, and I really, 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 really wanted to buy it, but I used the wrong dang zip code when putting in my info, so I don't get it. Next
Freaking
year,
lame.
I'll have to
You'll
try
get
and
it
get it
next year.
again.
You'll get it next year. All right, man.
Anyway,
What is Laura Rice Bowl?
Laura Rice Bowl is a TikToker, and everybody who's listening to this should go and subscribe to her right this second. She does these 10-second clips, and it is just the most positive, heartwarming, like good stuff. And
All right.
okay, so what sets her apart is the way she talks to you, right? So like
Okay.
she doesn't just like say this topic. She's like, "Hey, I really want to tell you something." And she like makes eye contact like you're having a conversation and like looks away like you're having a conversation. She's like, "Hey, I really want to talk to you today. Um, because I think you're awesome and you're going to do great things today. And I wanted to tell you that this is what I'm doing today. I got to hit the gym and let's have a great day together." Okay, bye. That's like her whole TikTok. But it is so positive and hits you so different than just any of these other, just like, I'm going to give you this positive quote kind of people.
Okay.
Um, it just feels different when you watch it. And she just makes you feel good. She makes you feel like she's talking to you, not to the universe or whatever.
Hmm. That's cool.
She's just
It's a
different.
unique talent.
Actually, like, makes you feel more positive or like you can do anything. And some of her TikToks aren't even like that. She's just like, "Hey, I just want to tell you that I'm running to the grocery store."
And
You know,
that's it.
it's not even always about you or how to be positive. She just is positive and she's just talking to you as a person rather than as a number of views. Um, it's just a unique experience. I'll hold on. Let me try this. Let me try this. Give me 1 second. No, go away.
Of the things you're most self-conscious about are the things that people love most about you. It's cool that you have quirks. It's cool that there's something special about you. Whether it's the way you laugh, the way you speak, the clothes you wear, your moles or your freckles, your weird interests. All these things make up who you are. And I like who you are. You. Oh, you should know. Okay. Talk to you later.
Yeah, she does look just right at you. I can see that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And it just is positive. It just makes you feel good. And
Little
like,
happy messages throughout the day.
yeah, just pull up one of her videos once a day at the beginning of your day. I guarantee your day is better than what it would have been otherwise.
Very cool. Very cool.
So I just wanted to give her a shout out because she just popped up on my feed and I was like, that's cool. More people. She should become the most successful TikToker of all time because that's just good
It
instead
is
of all
just
the
good.
garbage that is on TikTok that I waste all my time on.
Just a little inspiration to let you have a little bit better day.
Yeah, yeah. Just a good perspective, good start, positivity. I'm a big fan of positivity. Yeah,
Me too.
yeah.
That's cool, man.
She's
All
the
right.
female Ted Lasso.
she's she's trying to be. That's awesome. I love
Yeah.
that. I like the good inspirational stuff. It's just it we don't have enough of it. We don't
Yep.
celebrate it enough. That's
For
cool.
sure. So once again, anybody who's listening, her username is at Laura Rice Bowl. So go follow her.
Cool.
Do it.
All right. Are you caught up on Dungeons and Daddies?
No, I haven't watched it,
The
listened to a single episode in
really
a long
okay.
time. Yeah, long time.
The last episode is the funniest episode that I have seen in a very long time. One of the characters dies, and he makes a new character that's a plumber, and they're rolling for whether he'll make the toilet explode or he'll fix the toilet, and it is so funny. When you when you get a chance to watch it, we'll have to talk about it more. I love this new character.
Good. Good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
What do
mean,
you
no
got
matter
with
what, season 3 is better than season 2 of that show. So
absolutely
I should
for
definitely
sure?
get back into listening to it. I've just been on this music binge lately, actually. So
Oh, cool. That's not usually
uh,
you.
that's not usually me. I'm not a big music person, but I've gone on this little kick. I think you did too. You mentioned to it in a text that like you've just had a lot of really great music popping up for you that you hadn't heard before.
I have.
That's also been me. I literally had like 10 songs in a row I had never heard before that I was like, oh, I want that on my playlist. Oh, I want that on my playlist. Oh, I want that on my playlist too. Um, so that's why no real podcasts or anything for me, other than I've continued listening to the second date updates from time to time. But
Sweet. I've been listening to a
yeah,
couple of those too. They're funny. They're good too.
yeah.
Good comedy. Okay, why do you got Sinbad on there?
I watched it for the first time ever last night.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah,
What did you
had
think?
never
I'm
heard
genuinely
it, watched
curious.
it before. I had never even really heard of this movie before,
Okay, I
but
love this
uh,
movie.
I had a friend reach out and we've been chatting, and it's one of her all-time favorite movies, and she's like, "You haven't watched it? You got to watch it." So I I watched it, and let me tell you, it is just fine.
Okay.
It is just fine. There's just some things about it that I don't love. It's an enjoyable movie. Brad Pitt does a great job. The cast is phenomenal, honestly. They do a great job. But like, there's the scene where they use the other ship as the ramp when they're trying to get to the place,
Yeah.
and the female character, whatever her name is like, pull the blades, so the blades out the side of the ship stick out. Let me ask you, Conlon, what did those blades accomplish?
Not much.
Nothing. Literally nothing. Why pull out the blades? They did nothing. You had
That's
this
true.
whole scene for nothing. Literally nothing. Uh, and then my kind of like real complaint about the show is how stupid the ending is,
Interesting. I like it. Why don't you like the ending?
because it's stupid. So he finally gets to Tartarus or whatever they call it, and she's
Yeah.
like, "Would you go back?" And he's like, "Yes." And she's like, "You lied." And I'm like, how does she know? Like, how does she
I
know
never
that he lied? It's kind of like this objective, or subjective thing based on the perspective of who's lying and who's not, right?
it's a
Because it
subjective
could
thing
be a
based on
half
the
truth, it could be a partial truth, it could be
but
an
part of the
outright lie.
point
Like, how do you know?
is
Here's
that
the
the
thing, though.
goddess
Okay,
thinks that she just is a liar. So she's trying to define him by what he was versus who he's trying to become.
that's
That's
fine.
kind of the
I
whole point.
actually don't care that she called him out for lying, right?
Okay.
That my complaint is not that she said you're a liar, even though I think that's kind of like a dumb wager to make because there's no proof one way or the other. But if I was Sinbad, my exact thought in that moment was, well, now I will go back because she made a bond and she'll be forced to give the book back and I will live.
Which I can see your point with that, because that is kind of what happens. But the
That's
story
exactly what happens. It's
is
a
the
win-win for
story is
Sinbad.
supposed to be, who is he really? Is he a new person, or is he the old person
But
that
he
he
didn't
used to be,
prove
kind of a deal?
anything because he would survive. There is zero scenario at this point in the story where he goes back and dies.
I know that, but he proves that he is a different person by what he does.
How?
Even though
There's
he
no
doesn't
risk
have to
for
do
him.
that anymore.
No risk.
There's no risk for him, but he does it to go and save the crew. To save the girl.
You mean his friend?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But
Which
there's no
he
risk in going
does,
back. It's not character defining to make the right decision when it's easy.
because he doesn't actually hold the risk. He doesn't hold any kind of personal harm, so he's not risking anything by going back.
Yeah.
Besides some treasure. I think he risked some treasure, if I remember right. But that's about it.
He doesn't have any treasure.
Because he gives the treasure back to uh, the princess and the king or prince or
He
whoever it
gives
was.
the book back, yeah, but
Yeah.
he can't get out of there even if he wanted to, and he sits there and asks for money. Like, again, it's
There's just
not
I can
character
see your
defining
point.
to
I can see your
say
point.
you made the right decision when it's easy and has zero risk to make that decision.
When all that he would be giving up is a little bit of money that he can probably get anyway.
Yeah. So for him to go
Not a
back,
little,
he
a good amount
doesn't
of
lose
money.
out on anything. It's an easy decision. The only outcome is that he saves the friend. The only outcome is that a good thing
No,
happens.
because if I remember right, he could sell the book and he could get a lot more money, but he brings the book back,
He doesn't
giving
bring the
him
book
the
back.
possibility of no money. Doesn't he bring the book back?
No, he goes there and he intends to sacrifice himself, but because he went back and intended to sacrifice himself, the goddess had no choice but to give the book
But
back.
oh yeah, you're right, because that was part
Because
of the
she made
bargain.
the deal. Yeah. That's why I think it's dumb. Like, yes, they kind
That's
of
if
play it
he
off
thought
as like
of the
a
bargain, but he's a smart guy who entire personality is about
swindling and
breaking the
finding your
rules
way
and
out of it. Yeah.
swindling and finding the way out and all of that. So he would
Yeah.
think of the fact that this bargain is made and she has to fulfill the bargain.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
I will
Yeah, that's a
go
good point.
back
That's a good
and I
point.
will save my friend, and she will have no choice because she made a goddess promise that she would give it back.
Which Sinbad would totally have thought of that, for sure.
Yeah. That was my first
Ha,
thought, and I'm not even that kind of like
person.
person. So it's like instantly I was like, okay, go back. And he, they try and paint it as like he didn't realize.
They do,
You know,
but he
they
would
have the
have
scene
realized with
where
his
the
character.
where the girl is like, "No, run away," and he's like, "No, I got to make the right decision and save him." I'm like, "There's you're either an idiot suddenly, or you know exactly what you're doing," and right, like that's what I really didn't like about the ending of this show is because it's like the whole show is just entertaining, it's just positive, it's just fun. Uh, you
And
have
then you
this
have
girl
something that
boss
doesn't make
moment
sense
and
with the
you have all
character
this other
later
stuff, and then it just ends with this like fake conflict.
that didn't really make
Yeah. And like
any kind of
honestly,
impact.
my favorite moment in the entire show is when they make it to Tartarus and the goddess, the antagonist, the villain of the show, calls Sinbad out for being a hoe.
Yeah, it's awesome.
When she's like, and here you are stealing your friend's girl anyway. And I'm like,
Yeah,
get him, get him, because he's such a hoe bag for doing that. That's such a scummy thing to do.
it is.
Um, I was a little disappointed in finding out the backstory about why he left that his friend in the first place. Um, because I was expecting a lot more with the way that they were fighting with each other when they first get on the ship.
Yeah,
You know, only to find out that she never had really met him before, and he ran away because he saw her one time.
I remember being disappointed in
I
that
was
too. It's
like,
been a while since I watched the
what?
show.
I was expecting it was like the three of them were friends as
We're friends
children,
with the
and
kid, and
he
then
and
there
she
was that
chose the
disconnect.
other kid, and he got all butthurt about it and left. Like, that's what I expected, but
That's fair.
yeah, it was just
My favorite part of the movie is when the crew gets mad at him and he has to climb up the ice and he's grumbling like I love that part. I've always loved that part.
I love a lot of this movie. Like I said, it is very entertaining. Uh,
Yeah,
it's
but there's a
exciting.
couple little
They
things that
do
bring
a
it
lot
down a
of
lot.
balancing of like entertainment and action and story, and like the way he grumbles about the girl all the time, but you can see him kind of like change and let her in and loosen up the reins a little bit, and the way they paint him as not actually wanting to do it but wanting to be cool, like, and all that kind of, like, they do a really good job with a lot of this stuff. But there's a couple of things that it's like, man, just a couple of tweaks to this movie and you would have a great show. But now I'm like not even surprised that this is a movie I had never heard of before.
That's an
Because
interesting point of view. I haven't thought about that movie in a really long time. I watched it when I was a kid. I probably haven't
yeah,
watched it since I was 12, maybe. But I loved it when I was a kid.
yeah,
You
and I
bring up some
totally
really good
understand that.
points
Yeah,
about the show, for
yeah.
sure.
I totally understand if I was a little kid and I didn't have an adult brain that could think like, oh, this is not a lose, this is not a losing situation by going back because
It's
she
a
made the
win-win
promise. So proving
for him.
her wrong just makes, anyway. It's, yeah. So some good stuff to it. Some problems, you know. There are some good animated kids shows that just don't have those kind of problems, which
Yeah,
is
there
just
are.
really impressive. And it's a good show. I'm sad I never watched it as a kid, but I'm not surprised that I had not heard of it until now, because of
Because
these
of those
problems.
problems.
Yeah,
Eh, fair enough. Cool.
yeah,
Cool, cool, cool. All right. Let's talk about the second part of Cobra Kai. I finished
yeah.
it.
What did you
I
think?
like this part significantly better than the first part. But before I get into the things I really like, I want to talk about one thing I thought was ridiculous. Daniel is in a cage, and the bars are like this thick, and the bolts holding the cage are like this thick. But Mr. Karate Man can't just kick open the cage. He's all in dire straits until he figures out how to pick the lock. It was literally so stupid. I laughed out loud. I don't laugh out loud very often. It was dumb. Go ahead.
I didn't have a problem with that. Let me lock you in a dog cage and see how long it takes you to get out.
Let's do it. In one of those rinky dinky dog cages.
Yep,
Let's
I
do
have
it.
no doubt you would be stuck. But
I bet
I
I could
have
kick
a
it open.
different problem.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. Tell me.
Them beating Cobra Kai and kicking them out, and then having them suddenly make it back into the competition because some other thing was cheating. I thought that was dumb.
I bet that was going to happen. That is literally the exact thing I thought they were going to do. To the letter. That is exactly what I thought they would do when
I
I was
thought it
watching
was
the
dumb.
show.
I thought it was completely dumb. You had your moment. It was a great moment. It was a great way to defeat Cobra Kai. It was a
Yeah, it
great
was awesome.
way to defeat Kreese. I was 100% on board with it. And then they said, just kidding.
I didn't really like it either, but how they did it, even like the team being on drugs to boost their performance. Everything is exactly what I thought they were going to do and match the tone of the show and the like bring back the same problems over and over again of the show. Exactly.
But this is the last season of the show. Like, I would
I
rather
know.
have been. Like, they obviously get into their big brawl. And there's the really funny line of the mom being like, why does this always happen with karate? Right? Like,
Yeah.
Cobra Kai should have just been bystanders there. They should have just been watching the competition and had everything else come out exactly as it did.
That would have
You
been
know,
totally fine.
I would have been way more on board with that. But yeah, I didn't love that they were just like, but Cobra Kai's back in the competition. And you're like, hey, but they were already defeated. Like, how would you
And you could
feel?
have,
How would you feel, Conlon, if you were in an MMA fight, you were in a tournament, and you beat the top contender, or what you beat the third place contender? You know, Cinderella storied, you beat him.
and then he
And the
comes on
second you
back.
beat him, they say, well, so and so was cheating, so we're going to bring him back for another round.
I'm not saying it's good at all, man. I just absolutely 100% expected exactly what happened.
I am not surprised by it, but I didn't expect it. I'll put it that
Okay,
way. And it
that's
is my
fair.
problem with part two right now, because I was just like, that's
Kind of dumb.
really, like, that is just dumb. Like, from an objective perspective, like, no sporting
It's dumb.
competition would do that ever. They would kick out the other team and then they would continue on. They would not bring back somebody who's already been beaten. That's stupid.
That's what I think too. They would just kick out the other team, but I figured the show would do what it did. Um, Not talking about some good things that I did like. I think the acting is quite good in part two. I liked
It's
that they were
great.
doing less like infighting and kind of like coming together like I've wanted them to do this entire season, and like I hoped they would do this entire season. The brawl at the very end is insanely impressive
Yep.
because the camera work and the way that they chose the gis and what color each team had, you follow the entire fight and you're never confused about who's fighting who. It's not the shaky cam stuff. The action is well done. It's all everything moves together well. You can follow all the pieces. When the knife gets dropped, you think that knife is going to be used, and then the knife is used in a very surprising way. I thought that part of the show was some of the best that Cobra Kai has ever been. They did a very, very good job with that brawl.
And what did you think about the way that knife was used? Did you see it coming?
No, no, I did not. I thought someone else was gonna get stabbed. I didn't think they were going to do that, and I had to contemplate it for a little bit because I didn't know if it was a chicken shit way of getting out of having a main character die or if it was brilliant. And I'm leaning towards the brilliant side.
I think it was 100% brilliant. Solely because he was going up against the top fighter dude.
Yeah,
You know, the number one seed, the best in the competition.
the mountain guy.
Him having the ability to just like sideswipe and attack, you know, like I don't think he was conscious about the knife, but to avoid it, and the other guy arrogant enough to put himself in a situation to where he fell on the knife. Brilliant. I think it was absolutely brilliant. I told you last week during our record that I never saw it coming, and I'm ecstatic about it. Because I think one of the problems with these kind of soap opera shows is either everyone dies or nobody dies ever.
Yeah,
And it was
and you're
just the
like,
perfect timing and the perfect way with the perfect character to die.
I
That's how I feel
agree.
about it. So I
I
think it's
thought
brilliant.
I kind of wish somebody else would be really hurt though. That was the one thing that I was kind of like, I know that this is more of a EG 13ish type show, but with how big of a brawl this is, I'm waiting for the third act to really judge this, but I think somebody really should be hurt. I have a broken arm or, something like that, along with the death. And I don't think that they're going to do that, but it would be really cool if Sam had like a broken arm or somebody else was out of the competition, not because they died, but because they're so hurt that they just can't function anymore. And they didn't. I don't think they're going to do that, but it's okay. It's
I
fine.
wouldn't be surprised they've done it before.
They did do that with what is his name? Not Robbie.
Robbie.
Is it Robbie? And
Yeah.
when he falls from the balcony, I hope that it's more widespread than that, honestly, because I think it would be.
I think that a lot of the I don't think the competition is going to continue.
You think it's going to be over?
Yep.
Okay.
I think it's going
Okay.
to be over. It's going to be ended. They're going to say, this has gone out of control. We're not doing it this year. Game over. We already have too many injuries to proceed anyway. And this is
I
not okay. Right?
think
Like,
they
they already
should
beat
do
up on
that,
each other.
but I don't think they will do that. I think they'll be like, we need to cancel this, and then somebody's going to come in. Maybe it'll even be that teacher, that Mr. Miyagi, that new Mr. Miyagi. He'll come in and be like, for the sanctity of martial arts, we must finish this competition or something like that.
I'm interested. We'll see what actually happens. I don't know. But it would be quite the, like, what, how are they even going to do it? Your captain, your male captain is dead of the one team. On screen. He died on camera to the
Yeah,
world.
yeah.
How are you going to go out into the camera and be like, so, we've had one death so far, and I know we've had deaths historically in this competition, so we're just going
So
to
we're just
continue
gonna
winning.
keep going. See, I
Like,
think that they should stop it, but I don't think they're going to. I think they'll finish the show. I think because of the way that the show is, most fans would not be pleased with just nobody wins the competition, and I think that they'll have somebody win the competition because
I
of
don't
the way
think
the
so.
show is. Interesting. I'm
Because
interested in see who
Miyagi-Do
that's going to
isn't
be.
about competitions. Their great moral at the end of the show is going to be remembering that Miyagi-Do isn't about the competitions. But then they're
That's
going to have a scene of all these new students joining because of what they saw on TV.
Miyagi Do isn't about competition, but Karate Kid is about competition in a lot
Not
of ways.
really. Not
I
about,
mean,
like, professional or
but
academic competition.
it's about that tournament at the end of
The first one
Karate Kid
is.
1. You have that. At the end of Karate Kid 2, there's a competition at Mr. Miyagi's hometown where Daniel fights the big bully dude and he wins. And then Karate Kid 3 also ends with a competition where Daniel wins.
I wouldn't call the second one a competition. Uh,
Uh,
the
it's a
guy
kind of
challenges him
competition.
to a fight to the death, and Daniel just chooses not to kill the other guy. So, I mean,
Yeah, but he still
not
beats
really
him
like,
into the
you got
submission.
points. It was you decided not to kill a guy.
Yeah, but it's still a competition. It's just not a this is a judged you got a point competition. You know,
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but, like, there's a very big difference between Daniel, who's defending himself in a fight because the other guy's trying to kill him, and saying, like, well, the movie's about this competition at the end of it. Like,
but it's a competition to
mm,
be able to secure the love of what's her name from the second movie. I don't know her name, and have peace with the brother. There is a competition element there. It's like a
I,
male competition, a man versus man competition, more
I,
primal.
I think it's good because it's just a lesson that Daniel learns that he should only fight self-defense, and that's what it's about, and that's the way I like to think about it. Um,
Okay, that's fine, man.
but anyway, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, I think it's just gonna be, well, Miyagi Do isn't about competitions, and we're not gonna do that anymore. But it would be interesting because Johnny's supposed to take over the dojo after this, right? So what does that really mean? I don't know. We'll see what happens. Not gonna be surprised if they continue the competition. I don't think that they should. Um, they've got 3 episodes to tie everything up, and we'll see if they do. I've still got a lot of loose ends. So
Is there only 3 or is there 4 for this last part?
I think it's just going to be 3 episodes.
Dang. Okay.
Maybe it's 4.
Cool, cool.
Either way, there's only a little bit left, and they still have a lot of
Yeah,
loose ends
they have a
to
ton.
tie up. So we
Actually,
shall
5
see.
episodes.
Okay. Either way,
Anyway, yeah,
there's
they have a
still a
lot of stuff
lot
they
of
have to
loose
tie up.
ends. A lot of loose
A
ends.
lot.
I would be a lot more confident if Kreese succeeded on killing Silver, or Silver killed Kreese.
Okay.
I wanted to ask you about the Asian lady and the Asian guy
Okay.
getting together. What did you think about that little
I
plot point?
actually kind of like it. And one of my favorite parts of the whole episode is when Peyton List's character is talking to the Asian lady and asking if it was worth it. I thought that was great.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that the Asian lady is going to come to the terms that it's really not worth it, and she actually wants a relationship more than she just wants to keep dominating everything. Which
Yep.
I hope that that's what happens because I like the relationship. I like that dynamic, and I like that teachable moment. I think it's a cool thing, cool part of the show.
Yep. Now you understand why I said I was rooting for her.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
absolutely. I get it. I
yeah.
do wonder if they had him recover too quickly. I actually kind of think they did, but it's not that big of a deal.
I don't think they did.
Really, he goes from like drunk, slobbering fool to adult in in like an episode.
Yeah, but I think to him it was a rebound.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't think he was like, "Oh, I'm over my past relationship and I'm ready for something else serious." Because
it
the
was
whole
just a
thing is
rebound
about
and some
how they're
happiness.
both like,
Messed up.
"This isn't serious, right?" And then they hook up, and then they're both like, "That was
Wait,
that was
this is
good.
good.
I do I want to keep doing this?"
Yeah,
And
that's
then they
true.
have that
That's true.
dance of like they can't admit it, and he's like, "We ran into each other by mistake," and she was like, "Mistake?" And
Mistake, and then she's pissed.
yeah, yeah, it was.
Uh,
Uh, I
it was well done.
I'm really excited to see what they do with her character through this
Me
last
too.
part. Yeah.
Me too. Well, cool, man. Let's see.
My
Wild
last
Robot.
topic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wild Robot. I watched it this morning per
Okay.
your recommendation
What did you
because
think?
you said it was one of the best animated movies you've seen in a long time, if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken.
You are completely right. I liked that movie a lot.
What if I told you that The Wild Robot is just a more serious tone version of the open season movie from 2006?
Then I would say it makes sense why I liked it a lot because I love open season. Like genuinely enjoy it so much.
I think Open Season is a little bit of an underrated movie. It's very enjoyable. It is. Uh, I think the same thing about Wild Robot. It's a very enjoyable movie. It's the exact same plot as Open Season, but with a robot rather than a house trained bear, and
And then you kind of have the
is a
the
little bit
robot
more
is the
like,
mother
yeah,
instead of the mother is the mother of the bear. You have that same dynamic. It's just shifted a little
yeah,
bit.
yeah. Uh, Major plot points are still the exact same. The animals have to come together and fight off the humans, and the humans set a fire, and the animals have to come together to solve the problem of putting out the wildfire. And
Yeah,
it's
there's even
still an
that's
enjoyable
crazy.
show.
Yeah, yeah,
It's still an enjoyable show. I'm not trying to dog on the Wild Robot. Its animation is gorgeous. I
it's
watched it on my
beautiful.
laser projector. It's gorgeous. Um, it's an enjoyable show. It's also nothing new. That's what I'm trying to say by it. I don't think it's the best animated show that's come out in a long time. I think I would have you define what a long time really is, um, to see what has come out in that amount of time. Um, but to me, there's really nothing new under the sun here. It's just open season. It's like the exact same plot all along, and is a little bit more serious toned, whereas open season is the more silly tone for it. So that's what I have to say
Interesting.
about it.
They are. It, I saw that you had that written down, and the second that I read it, I was like, wow, those are very similar movies. And maybe that influenced how much I liked it because I love Open Season. I love that movie. Um, and there are a lot of it's very similar. The child robot dynamic really worked for me with Wild Robot. I really I loved it. Um, and I loved the aspect of this robot learning from nature. I just thought it was a fascinating idea, very well executed. I liked how learning from nature made this robot more of a badass. I loved that
But
aspect of
it's
it.
the same with open season.
There, e-
The bear goes out into
yes,
nature and he learns about from nature and becomes more badass and more comp. It is the same movie. Like, it's not like they have
yes,
a
but
couple of
the way the robot
similar
is
plot
able to
points.
the way the robot is able to implement it, I really liked. I also enjoyed, even though it is a little cheesy, the whole winter aspect of it, where the robot has built this home, and then all of the animals come and they kind of do a peace treaty. I liked that whole scene. I
I'm
enjoyed
pretty
that
sure
a
that
lot.
also happens in open season.
Man, they are very similar movies, aren't they? That's
Yeah.
wild. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, they are.
I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I liked open season. I
I
still
do
like
too.
open season. There's nothing wrong with that. My only
Huh.
point is
They're very
it is
similar.
just like copy and paste one, except one director says, I want to take a serious tone with this movie, and the other one
The
says,
other director
I want
has
it
the
to be
deer.
funny.
That's Ashton Kutcher.
Yep, you have the deer that's instead of the duck.
Yeah, that's
But
so
it's the
interesting.
same movie. It's the exact same movie. And like I said, not a bad thing at all. Not shaming it, not trying to talk bad about it at all. I would say if you didn't like open season, there's still a good chance that you would like Wild Robot because it is that very different tone.
Yep.
Um, so the way it tells the story is still different enough to say you might like one and not the other. Um, but plot wise, same movie, same exact movie. Um, like I said, I'm okay with it. Just nothing really new under the sun with it, and I was a little disappointed based on my expectations of you saying this was the best animated show that's come out in a really long time.
Let's see. I did really like Soul. I think I like this one better than Soul. Um,
Well, define a long time. What is a long time?
that's what I'm looking up, but I'm talking years.
Okay, 5, 10, 15, 20, 2, 1, 6.
Probably originally I was thinking like 5. In the last 5 years is probably the best animated movie that I've seen. New animated movie that I've seen and enjoyed. But looking at this, it might be my favorite one since Zootopia, which is crazy.
You really liked Puss in Boots: The Last Wish.
I
I
do
didn't
really like
love it
that
a
one.
whole lot.
Oh, never mind. Klaus.
Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Klaus.
I this
Uh,
is Klaus is the
you
last one.
liked Moana. I did not. How to Train Your Dragon 2 and 3 both came out.
Is that in the last
Um,
5 years? When did
I
that
believe
one
so,
did How to
yeah.
Train Dragon 3 come
Uh,
out?
The Boy and the Heron came out just this year.
Yeah, I
or
know.
last year.
I like this one better than The Boy and the Heron, even though that's a good movie.
I liked Bad Guys quite a bit.
I thought it
Zootopia's
was fine.
fine.
How to Train Your Dragon
Super Mario
3.
Bros. The movie. It's good.
I like this one better than Super Mario's, for sure, without a doubt.
I don't. I think I would prefer to watch Super Mario Bros. Solely
Interesting.
because Super Mario Bros. Is kind of its own thing. I don't have anything to really compare it to.
That's fair.
Uh, it's
Um,
definitely not like completely new, but um,
so yeah, 5 years because How to Train Your Dragon 3 came out in 2019, and I like a lot of people will disagree with me. I really do like the Spider Verse movies. I like both of them a lot. I liked this movie better than the Spider Verse movies, which I know for most people is sacrilege.
sorry, repeat that.
Oh, I said I know a lot of people will disagree with this. I like the Spider Verse movies. This is not shade on the Spider Verse movies. They are both very good. I like this movie better than those.
That's fine. You're wrong, but that's fine.
But yeah, about 5 years.
Uh, it's up there. I just, yeah, it's good. I would probably put The Boy and the Heron as
Above it.
my top one from just the
Okay.
same couple of year time frame,
It's a very good
regardless of
movie.
whatever came out. I like The Boy and the Heron just a little bit more.
That's fair, man. It's a good movie.
All right,
Very good movie.
let's go over our final topic.
Okay.
Why don't you go ahead and kick it off? What are we talking about?
Arcane the final. Um, we went over last week. I still have some problems with episode 3 in particular. I just do. But I was too harsh on the animation and I rethought about it and that was something where I honestly think I was just wrong. It's very good. And these last 3 episodes, some of the animation is insane. Like so unbelievably well done. The music and I want to this blew my mind. So I'm using these headsets and I'm watching it on a really good screen. And the part where Jace is walking through the desolate world and there are people that are hollowed out, if you listen closely, you can hear the rain thudding against the person on the screen. And it's so directional, it's right in front of you. That is astounding. That's so freaking cool. And you can hear individual spots where the rain is falling on this body. It's one of the coolest sound design things I have ever seen. Mind blowingly cool. I loved episode 7. Like, in my opinion, the best episode of the season. I loved the character growth in that episode. I loved the every art design. I loved the sound design. That episode is perfect. Um, I I really really enjoyed these 3 episodes, which I'm grateful for because I did have some of those problems, and I don't have any problems with the last 3 episodes. I think they are so well written. Um, I like the way that it ended. I like everything. It's immaculate. The only thing that I could say maybe could have been better is one scene right before they get attacked where you have like a Helm Deep moment where people are just kind of showing their fear because they don't really have a little scene like that. And one small 30-second clip I think could have added to the tension of that moment, but that's it. Otherwise, I found this to be perfect.
Hey,
What did you think about it?
I have a question for you before I go into my thoughts.
Yes.
This show ended up number 7 on your all time 10 list.
Okay.
Now that it's all said and done, I know there's some recency bias, and when we redo these in a year, you might change. But
Mm-hmm.
as of right now, does it raise it on your list at all? And if so, how much do you kind of think?
Right now, no, just because of those problems that I do have with episode 3. Um,
Interesting. Okay.
but it doesn't lower it on my list either. Even though before these last three, it honestly might have
Okay,
because I didn't love those.
so just as a reminder, right above it you have Breaking Bad.
Hmm.
You'd still put it behind Breaking Bad?
Yes.
You had Dark, Blackbird, Star Wars Rebels, The Last Avatar, and How I Met Your Mother. You'd still kind of keep that where it's at. With how much you liked this ending, you
I
don't
love
think you'd
this
change
ending.
it?
It was so good. It. I need to think about it more. I don't know. Might
Okay.
raise it up a little bit. It might.
Okay.
Um.
All right. My
Yeah, I don't know.
thoughts.
What about you?
I want to preface this by I need to rewatch it.
Okay.
I am severely disappointed in this moment. Severely.
Wow, we are
Severely disappointed.
completely switched. I am
Yep.
so interested in what you're about to say. What?
Yeah.
Why?
Let's talk about Echo. Uh, they spend
Okay.
an entire episode on Echo, which is fine. I love Echo. Echo's a great character. They spent an
Uh-huh.
entire episode saying what life would be like if Vi died instead of Vander.
Yeah.
And
Very
here's my
interesting
problem
episode.
with that. Doesn't add a lot to the plot of the universe we're actually talking about. It's kind of like a side tangent. You already had a lot to go over in 3
Okay.
episodes, and you spent an entire episode on this.
And it doesn't really pay fruition because I did think about this. I kind of let it go, but you have Jinx and she says, "There's no world in which I am good." And I honestly thought they were going to have Echo somehow show her the world where she is good. And I kind of hoped that was what was going to happen, but I was also okay that it didn't.
It is what it is. I just think that that was kind of a giant side tangent that didn't add a lot, and there's still a lot of questions yet to be answered about the show.
Okay.
Okay. Here's what I particularly don't like about that is
Hmm.
you mean to tell me that everybody would have been well adjusted had Vi died? That's what you're telling me.
That wouldn't
Is that
happen.
Jinx or Powder would have stayed Powder and everything would have been fine if Vi had died instead of Vander?
To me, I can actually see where you're coming from with thinking that that's the conclusion that it's coming to. I took it as this is a completely different world and there's more than just that that's changed. That's a piece of it. But I can also see your point of
That's
view
all
where
that's changed.
that's not
That's
what they're
all that's
saying.
changed. They said that instead of raiding the place, right? Instead of raiding the place, or trying to attack Silco's plant or whatever it is they were doing in season 1,
Hmm.
it was when the kids went and tried to rob the rich place and Powder blew the thing up on accident.
Vi
Vi
died.
died. And you're saying Powder is gonna be super well adjusted after killing Vi instead of killing Vander?
So if that's the only
That's the
difference,
story you're telling me?
why is the professor down in the underworld?
He was there at the beginning anyway.
Was he there earlier in the show?
Yeah. He
I
was
don't
there at the very
remember that.
beginning of the show. He's the one doing all the experimentation on all the animals and stuff. The one that, oh, what's his name? Jace's partner goes down and talks to when he's about to die.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I thought that was an implication that there was more that changed than just Vi
No,
died.
he was already there. That the only
Interesting.
change that they say is that Powder killed Vi instead of Vander. Now I agree that if Vander had survived and Vi had died, he would have been a better support to Powder and she would have been more adjusted, well adjusted, sure.
But
But
that doesn't make everything
she's not
shiny
gonna
and
it's
gold.
not gonna make everything shiny. And why in the world would Silco have given up on his Zon plan and just been okay being friends with Vander again? And why would Vander have been okay with it when the backstory is they tried to kill each other over this?
Yeah,
So
it
they
comes
paint
off
this
too
picture
clean.
of if Vi had died, which to me, Vi is not the bad guy. If Vi had died, everything would be dandy. And I'm like, you
Which
wasted an entire episode to tell me that Vi is the central piece here?
problem?
You know?
Interesting.
No, like, yes, Vi had a weak moment with her sister and she went and got arrested. But if she
But
had
that
died
doesn't mean
before
that
any
she's
of
the
that had
problem
even
with everything.
happened, she would not be the. Anyway, so I really didn't like that kind of projection. The other problem I have with that story is what happened to Heimerdinger? Did he die?
Uh
Did he go to another universe? Did he go somewhere
oh.
else? He jumps out of the little portal thing from Echo and plugs the thing in and then just like vanishes.
I took it as he died, but you're right. He could have gone
I took
anywhere.
it
We
as
don't
he
know.
died too, but it didn't address it at all. Heimerdinger's a great character, and I have no confirmation of what actually happened to him.
Yeah, I
Um,
figured if he did go somewhere, which I thought about maybe I thought I still think he's dead, but there's
I
going to
think
be
he's dead too,
more
but
there's going to be more League of Legends content. There's no reason they can't use him. I think in my head I was putting too much of a this is a magical other world instead of this is a world that also still has rules. I was thinking, well, this is the world where everything is good. So that's what this world's rules
it's
are.
not
That's
good.
what we're doing.
Vi is dead,
But
you know?
Vi is still dead, so that actually doesn't work. There still would have been actual consequences and
Yeah,
actual character motivations instead of just this is the happy place,
right.
which is
And
kind of how I looked at it when I watched it, to be honest.
if Powder is so upset at um, Echo for sending them on this raid that caused Powder to actually kill Vi, you telling me they'd have some romance? Like,
Didn't add up to you.
it didn't add up to me, and like I said, they spent an entire episode on this essentially, right? And so I really didn't like that.
And
The
then there's
next
no
part
use
I
for that
didn't
episode
like.
besides getting the little machine.
Yeah. The next thing I didn't really like is it's another multiverse story.
I didn't think you'd like that. I thought
Yeah.
that you would not enjoy that at all. I thought they did a very good job with the multiverse part of it. You make very good points about that episode though. That I didn't. It's not the
I
way I approached the
honestly
episode.
I didn't hate it until the conclusion.
Okay.
This like
Why?
conclusion where Jace shows what is his name?
What is his name?
Whatever his
I'll look
name
it up
is,
real quick.
this like history of an alternate universe where he succeeds and turns into robots, and he's this mythical god who went back in time to start Jace on this path in the first place because Jace is the only person in any possible outcome.
Victor.
Victor, he's the Jace is the only person in this universe who can possibly convince Victor of becoming these robot things is bad.
It
You've
felt
just
more
painted a
cliche and
picture
just.
where everything was fine just because Vi died. Like,
But but this one character can solve this infinite loop problem where he becomes a god of all the loops or whatever he is, kind of
yeah,
a thing. And then that feels cliche and kind of cheap.
yeah. And then my other reaction again, I really have to rewatch these episodes, right? I
Okay.
might be being too harsh on it. I didn't have the best day when I was watching it. I was exhausted. I was kind of cranky. Other things going into it. I might be going hard onto it. But I
Okay.
liked when they were painting it as Vi was going to die with Vander and hated that Jinx jumped in and just sacrificed herself.
That is the one thing that I'm still debating on whether I really like or I don't. And I don't know. It's kind of what I thought was going to happen.
When they were on the thing and Powder
I
is
don't know.
pleading at Vi to leave, and Vi looks back at Vander and says, which I actually don't really love in the first place because they already had this scene where he was all feral and trying to kill
Then
them. I think she would
kind of
have
came back to him.
just like given up on that unless they changed his eyes back, but his eyes were still all crazy. Um, But yeah, I was sitting there like, oh, what an interesting, cool way to take it where Vi dies and you have Jinx become Powder again and choose to be Powder and have to live with her consequences and kind of still lead the Undercity in this kind of way. Like, what a ball. I had a lot of respect for it. And then in 2 seconds, they're like, nope, Jinx is going to die. And Vi is just going to sit there and stare at them and do nothing about it. Like, I didn't love that.
That's fair. That is fair. I I always kind of thought Jinx had to die, so I don't know. That one is something that I'm kind of conflicted on, if I'm being honest.
I'm not
But
mad that Jinx died. I'm mad at how Jinx died because here is my ultimate complaint about it at this moment.
okay,
Victor gives up on his plan and releases everything, and everything goes back to either dead or alive, right?
mm-hmm.
Except Vander.
And Vander probably would have just come back to himself.
No, he would have been
I
dead.
think.
He was dead before this whole thing happened. He was brought back to this feral beast
Oh,
because of what Victor did.
and
I just,
Victor pumped
yeah, if there was
whatever
like,
into him.
the robots were just like slow to die or whatever, I'd be okay with it. But the fact that they just started like
But
dropping dead
didn't
instantly,
didn't the scientist kind of bring him back to life, and then Victor uh, mutated him? So isn't it possible that the scientist bringing him back to life, he would just be alive?
the
No,
scientists saved Victor with the blood of the beast, and they merged into one soul.
I know, but then the scientist pumps him with poison, and it's required that the scientist does this for Victor to be able to use Vander again. So isn't it possible that the science side of things, brought Vander back again, and then Victor pushed that forward and used evolution to kind of finalize that? If that does that make more sense? What I'm saying?
It kind of does, but my understanding of how they painted this is the beast died, and they had a scene where the scientist says he can't be saved. But he can use the blood if they do it quick enough to save Victor. So they put him in this cocoon and they do all of these things, and then Victor and Vander merge into this one being. Right?
Yeah.
So Victor dies, and this beast thing stays alive.
Why? That's a.
Why? I'm not
I want to rewatch it for
super
that
into it.
question because I'm
It's
interested in that question.
I just, yeah,
Huh.
I'm pretty disappointed in it for those kind of like major reasons. I don't think they needed to spend an entire episode to paint this picture that the more detail they gave, the less I actually bought. And I don't like that they didn't tie up the Heimerdinger thing. I don't like that they didn't tie up the Black Rose thing. I didn't like that they left all of these kind of loose ends and
Does
ended
that
the show.
change at all knowing that there's going to be further content? No?
Because it's
Okay.
not about this show. They have 3 spin-off series in production. Or not
But
production,
it can
scripts.
it can tie up some of this
Um,
content. The Black Rose stuff, it could tie up that. I mean, you can continue with some
I
of
don't
these
care.
options.
Like
You
it's
don't care? Okay.
yeah. Like if you're gonna tie like your story needs to be contained. What is the big problem with Boba Fett and The Mandalorian for those
Is that it's
people
not
who like
contained?
it is it's not contained, right? My complaint is I watched season 2 of Mandalorian, then jumped into 3 and was like, what the freak is going on?
Yeah,
Right? I don't want to have to
that's a
watch
good point.
another series or another show to make my current show make sense. You need to tell a complete story. You got to contain it. You got to tell it. And not saying you have to answer every last little question somebody might have. But if Heimerdinger died, just show some
He's
blood
dead.
splatter or something. right?
Okay.
Show us that he's dead. If he went back to the other universe, have him be on the council again.
Interesting.
Right? Like why are you just leaving it vague? Like he didn't go or did go, like I don't really know. Like I'm pretty sure he died, but I don't know. And why did yeah, that's one of my smaller complaints. My bigger complaints really are they spent an entire episode on this story that made me less believe it the more it showed, and how they
Would you
decided
have,
to end it.
would you have liked it if Echo had somehow shown um shown Jinx that there is a good version of her, there's a way that she could be good, there's an option for her to actually be good out there in the universe? You wouldn't have
No,
liked
because I
that
didn't
either.
really love the multiverse stuff. Like I said,
You just didn't. It
if
didn't
you're
work for you.
gonna do it, Jace should come back and he should beat Victor, or
Okay.
he should plead with and convince Victor somehow that what he's doing is wrong. I hate that they do this whole like, well, I touched you and our memories merged and I saw your memory of this alternate timeline and then it made sense to me and then I had a
Then it just ends.
conversation with myself. And if his future self really could time travel, why wouldn't he just go back and kill his past self to stop this all from happening? Or why wouldn't he just change his old self? Like, I just.
My thought
You're
with
doing a
this one,
lot of stuff with it, and I didn't love it.
what one, I'm surprised you have a problem with the professor thing. I have some problems with Inception. We've talked about it before because the ending doesn't really give you an answer either way, and it drives me nuts.
But that's
So
the point of that movie. I also don't love Inception, but that's the point of the movie.
I just, yeah, it's surprising to me. I thought when I was watching that last episode, well, you've seen how this goes, and you know that he can't get to this what's it called? The main hub. Anyway, he can't get Victor can't get to this main hub. You have explosives. Why are you spending all this time pulling out the batteries? Just blow the whole thing up. Get rid of it. It's gone. You're not going to use it again after this anyway.
I think
Just get rid of it.
probably because it would cause too big of a reaction. Like, why not just blow up Chernobyl right now instead of let Russia take it? You know, like
If it was like the universe is going to end, or we get rid of this big building that's really important to us, I'm going to get rid of the
I'm
big
talking
building.
about flattening the entire city, killing everyone, kind of big. Because one of those
Uh,
little orbs, right, one of the little
hmm?
ones in the very beginning of the show creates an explosion that destroys an entire apartment.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And now you're talking about a room sized version of that thing.
But it blows up anyway. If that was the case, the entire city would blow up.
It didn't blow up,
It short circuits and that entire room is completely vaporized.
sort of, but it's like vaporized into this multiverse of sucked into a vacuum of nothingness. It's not like there's an actual explosion.
I guess it is pulled into something instead of just being allowed to completely release. There is some truth to
Yeah.
that.
So I don't know. I don't have a problem with that. I just, if this had come out like 10 years ago before the multiverse fad, I probably wouldn't have as big of complaints about it.
But because
But
of that, it
we've
makes
been
you
there,
sour to
done
the
that
whole
with
idea.
multiverse stuff. Like, come on. And you're doing multiverse and time travel and mind reading all in one episode there to try and draw a conclusion to your show.
Because
I
it
don't
feels like
love
a
it.
cheap way to get rid of it because they didn't have enough time to be able to actually fulfill the story to the level that it should be fulfilled.
Yeah. I mean, my one prediction about the show that I was pretty confident in that would happen didn't happen, so.
What was that?
Oh, I thought it was just going to be a top down view of the cities, and it would have three paths, one going up the middle across the bridge, one going across the other, one going down the top. And you would show that the red chick and her army is storming, and the heroes on the other side are defending the city at the bridges, just because that's how League of Legends is played, and their League of Legends. I just thought that they would have that.
Hmm.
Doesn't make or break it. I just thought that they would, like, because they were clearly
They would
defining
make
there
some
are
kind of
three
reference to League of
bridges into
Legends.
this. Yeah, there are three bridges into the city, and they're clearly defining that they're defending at these bridges. And so I was just like, yeah, they're going to show that top down shot, and League of Legends fans are going to be like, oh, and nobody else is going to care.
Was
But they
there
didn't do it,
anything
so it's fine.
from these last 3 episodes that you really, really liked?
I really, really liked Powder Adjusted. Um,
Okay.
I don't buy that she would be in this universe where she killed Vi, um, but I really liked that version of her. And
Okay.
having that part displayed of like, hey, she really isn't always going to be crazy and she isn't always going to be bad. And there is a universe where she's um,
Good.
well adjusted. Um,
Yeah. Better word.
I don't love that they were like, but she's still not living up to her potential. She'll never live up to her potential. Um, that was kind of an interesting thing to throw in there. The animation was beautiful, uh,
Gorgeous.
absolutely astounding. I loved the fighting scene. I loved the turning on Caitlyn by Nolan. Um,
Oh, I forgot about that. I did not like that. I didn't like that at all. I forgot to
oh,
mention
I
that.
loved that. I loved that because
I
Caitlyn was clearly using her. So why wouldn't she turn on her? Um,
I thought it was so cliche. I was like, okay, you have the main two lovebirds that you're going for, and then like in rom comedy style, they have to turn the other romance into the bad guy. I thought it was stupid, like straight up so dumb.
I didn't think it was stupid solely because Caitlyn was very clearly using her.
Mm.
You know, that actually reminded me of another complaint I had.
Okay,
Arcane, how did you not learn in season one that sex scenes in your show is uncomfortable and you shouldn't do them?
I thought you would mention that you didn't like that. I I don't I didn't really think it was necessary. It's not something they really should have done, but
It's not
well,
necessary.
whatever.
Sex scenes are never necessary,
They're never
ever.
necessary.
And but in some shows you can kind of just like get by it or whatever. When I'm watching Arcane, both of the sex scenes are just extremely uncomfortable and forced and awkward.
They don't feel good in the show, and I can't recommend it to everyone because of those scenes, which is what bugs me about those two scenes.
Yeah,
Like I've
just
got
cut them. Like you don't need them in the
yeah,
show. They don't add anything. They're not valuable in any way, and they detract from your show. Just
I
cut them.
I think it'd be better if they were gone too. I have a buddy who would absolutely love this show, but he'll watch anything but sexual content, and I have to tell him every single time. Every time I recommend this show, I'm like, "There's one scene you kind of have to skip," and I'll have to say there's two scenes you kind of have to skip. But other than that, it's fantastic, and it's really too bad that we have to do that.
Yeah, and like I
Because
said, like
his little girls would love this show too. They would absolutely love it, but you can't watch it because of those two scenes.
yeah, and they're not well done. Like I said, they're just uncomfortable. They're not like a good sex scene or anything. Like
I
I get that
actually
sex
disagree about
sells,
the
but
second one. I think the second one is extremely well done. It just shouldn't be in there.
I
The
don't think
first
it
one
is
is
at
not.
all.
The first one is not.
It's just as uncomfortable as the first one to me.
Okay, interesting.
So yeah. Anyway, like I said, I really need to watch them. I need to make sure I'm in a better headspace when I watch them so that I can look at it more clearly. But my initial reaction is I'm really disappointed in this ending.
That's too
Really,
bad.
really disappointed.
I personally liked. I loved. I mentioned the rain sound and that whole landscape of where everything went bad and it's just Jace. I thought was gorgeous. So unbelievably well done. I liked the way that they animated Powder in the alternate world. I thought the animation on Powder was very good, and it
Yeah.
gives her like this girly essence that she doesn't really have, a different essence, and it's just from the way they animate her.
Yeah.
It was astoundingly good.
Absolutely.
Um, the my probably favorite scene in this last three episodes is where Caitlyn and I can't ever remember her name, Queen, Princess Girl, Black Girl, are fighting against the mom, and Caitlyn has that moment where she decides I have to take out my own eye to get this to get rid of the protective sleeve. I thought that was so good. I I
It
loved it.
was. Yep. Great.
Um, and the way that they animated it, and they have that moment where you just stop and you know exactly what she's gonna do, but you feel the tension too. So good. Um, and then I really liked Echo's. I knew it was going to happen. Like you knew that he was going to come in, and you knew that he was going to use the time travel to be able to figure out how to get in. Like you knew that was going to happen, but it was just awesome.
It was.
Um,
Yep.
and then the machine that was shooting full tanks, like full cargo tanks, was very cool. That whole fight
Yep.
was really cool, but
Yep.
particularly the Caitlyn losing her eye scene was excellent.
Absolutely. I agree. Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. Does this lower it for you as far as
Absolutely.
favorite shows?
Yeah.
Like all the way off the top 10?
Possibly.
Wow. Wow. Oh man, I'm sorry. That sucks.
Yeah. And like, it's not that I hated it. Like, I didn't like that they spent a whole episode on this alternate universe, but I didn't hate it, right? It's not like
Yeah.
because the problems I had with that universe didn't impact our main story at all. It wasn't like this big thing at all. Um, because I didn't like that it's just another multiverse story, doesn't mean that I hate that it's a multiverse story. That's fine. You know, I loved when uh, the Spider Verse did the multiverse thing. It's like that's great.
Yeah, did a really good
You
job
know,
with it.
I liked the live action Spider Man where they brought in all three of them. Like doing
Yeah.
multiverse is not necessarily a bad thing. It's
It's
just
the way
at
they
this
implemented it.
point, there's been so much multiverse stuff in recent memory that I watch it and go, oh, it's another multiverse thing.
And it's another way
Yeah,
to
there's another way
deal
to
with
do
the
it.
story
Wow.
fast.
Yeah.
Oh,
Um, so I didn't hate it. I'm really disappointed that they couldn't draw one just solid, really good conclusion to anything. Because even the black girl, right? Like, did she sail away? Did she leave
we
to go
don't.
back to her mom's homeland? They had the scene with her holding the mask, but she didn't put on the mask and she didn't drop the mask. So when they show all the ships going, is she on it?
That's an interesting point of view.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
Did Vi and Caitlyn leave the city as well? Because the last scene is them together, and Caitlyn's like, "Are you singing?" And Vi's like, "Yeah, it's from my mom." And you go, "Oh, that's so sweet." And then all of a sudden, it's a shot of an airship going somewhere. Are they on that airship? They're kind of implying it, but they don't really outright say it.
I figured that would be next season of they won't call it Arcane, but whatever it's called at that point.
I don't think it's. I think they're just trying to imply that Kate and Vi left the city together,
Interesting.
which
Okay.
is why Kate is not on the council in that last scene where they're the new council
Yeah.
forming up. You know, I just feel like nothing was really satisfyingly answered. You know, you have this big question mark over a lot of stuff and
So
some problems and some disappointment. That's what you have.
so you're left with a show that kind of feels like it cheaped its way out of any kind of actual conclusion and cheaped its way to the conclusion that you were able to get in a way that isn't satisfying. You have an episode that feels like it just wasted your time, and you have other little issues peppered in there that add up to a big thing.
Yeah.
And then you're expecting Arcane, this insanely well written show, and I think part of the reason I was so visceral about episode 3 with my dislike is because I was expecting so much more than what I felt like I received, and it seems like you might be going through the same thing now,
I mean, kinda,
as
but
far as
no.
expectation versus what you feel like you received.
But I wasn't expecting anything, right?
Okay, interesting.
Like, I was hoping that it would have a good ending, but I wasn't delusional that it might not be good, you know? There's tons of shows that have fantastic beginnings and do ask questions really well.
Mhm.
Lost asked questions really well. Did not answer a single one of them well, which is why that show was so bad at the end. Um, Attack on Titan asked questions extremely well. I have not finished it, but none of the questions that they've answered have been just great. It did better job than Arcane did, but yeah,
I think
I'm
it's great
just
up until the
disappointed.
end, and the ending is not. It's not great, but
Yeah.
semantics.
Anyway, so yeah, it's not like I was just expecting this to be a great show. It just was a great show and I was enjoying it. And the way that they concluded it is not great.
Disheartening to you. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, man.
So I like I said, I will rewatch the last 3 episodes. I will try and look at it with fresh eyes and see if I'm being too harsh on it. But my reaction right here in this moment is that it would drop off my list.
Wow.
I think it would fall down to
Wow.
like my 15. I still like the show. I'd still recommend the show,
But it would drop down.
but it
That's a
would
major
drop
drop.
down quite a bit. Yeah. It's definitely gone from a show that I would rewatch frequently to a show that I'll watch every once in a while. So,
Uh, I'm sorry to hear that. For
mm,
real. For real. I
yeah.
wanted you to love it. I shouldn't have said it's perfect. It's literally, as we've been talking, I've been like, well, there was this kind of problem and there was this kind of problem. So obviously I had some issues with it, but I did like the
Yeah.
ending. I did enjoy it. And
Yeah.
I wish, I'm sorry. That just sucks.
Yeah. And I really want to reiterate again, like, not terrible. I'm not mad at the show. Just I wish they would have taken a chance, you know, whatever
Yeah.
that chance may be. I wish that Jace would have killed Victor in a final battle rather than multiverse stuff happens. Um,
And just
yeah.
fixes everything.
Or maybe if they had tied in the alternate universe for Powder to actually matter somehow, that probably would be a good thing too. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that would look like.
I
Uh,
was thinking about that and I was like, I wonder if they could have split the two personalities. That could have been interesting, or had Powder run into Jinx, like the two different versions. That could have been interesting. Um, I don't know. There was a couple of different ideas.
my idea was that Echo saves the world in the end with his time travel stuff by making it go overboard, but it actually sends Vi back to that timeline.
That would have been
And
cool.
Vi has to have this conflict of like, this is Powder, not Jinx. And that version of Powder would get the gift of getting Vi back, but not the Vi she remembered. So that was kind of my idea, but that really doesn't tie up anything any better. It's just, to me, that's taking a chance at throwing something, and I don't
I
know.
Just speaking on that, I actually really, and I didn't think they were going to do this. Isn't something I thought of, but I loved Echo being able to send Victor, part of Victor, back to when he was more human, and the two sides conflicting with each other. and you can see it through the animation. I understand it not being satisfying as far as an ending, but I loved that little bit of character work, writing, artistry, everything. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I don't want to sound too pessimistic or say that it was a bad ending. It is not a bad ending. If it was a bad ending, it would not be a top show for me at all. Um, don't think it's a
It's
bad
just
ending. It's just
disappointing
a
ending.
disappointing, okay ending. And great shows take chances on how they end, I think.
I think so too.
So, yeah,
Yeah,
those
cool.
are our topics this week. Thank you, everyone, for listening in to us ramble about some stuff. Like, subscribe, comment. Let us know if you think I'm right or if Conlon's right about the ending of Arcane. I actually haven't seen anything on social media saying one way or the other, so
Me
I am a
neither.
little surprised by that. So let us know. Feel free to tell me that I'm wrong, because, like I said, I very well could be wrong. I definitely need to give it another chance. But thank you all again for listening. Very much appreciated.
Thanks, guys.